Welcome to another hit and run episode. This one's going to be epic because it's now currently being discussed in the Supreme Court, and it has a lot to do with immigration. It has a lot to do with Donald Trump and what he signed as an executive order this term in office. We're going to go over the reasons why he's doing it, what the actual 14th Amendment covers, and why it was originally intended, what its intent was, what the reality of it is now, and whether it needed to be changed back. And that's the whole thing I think Donald Trump is trying to do today. Of course, we got our brother on the other side of the house, Mr. Fearless Talks Live. I don't know if we're going to be pro or con against each other. I know we're going to have some good arguments and some good debates on opinions versus feelings, because that's the problem, I believe, with this law. A lot of bleeding heart liberals and humanitarians got in there in office and started prying at the original intent of the 14th Amendment. And once they did that, it started a slippery slope. And it was a slope that you could not pull yourself back out of without looking like a basic asshole. So now when Donald Trump goes back and says, hey, we need to retract some of the things we're doing with the 14th Amendment. Now, a lot of people are fear-mongering and saying, oh, if he touches the 14th Amendment, even black people are going to be subject to certain things. That's not true.
I don't know about that.
That's an assumption and an opinion, but that's not.
I don't know about that, brother.
The reason I say that is out of Donald Trump's own mouth. Is
it don't matter. That don't mean nothing.
But we'll see, because we know Donald Trump can do what? He can lie his ass off.
No, but it ain't about him lying. See, here's the thing.
Okay.
The intent does not override text, especially in the Constitution.
We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that today. We're going to get into the original text, and that's where it comes in an intent. And then we're going to get into what's happened to it, including the 1898 decision and moving forward. And I appreciate the brother that left that in there, because it made me jump down that fucking rabbit hole. And I jumped down that rabbit hole and went to digging. All right. So I'm excited about this one. I hope you guys are too, the ones that are tuning in, because I think it's important. I'm right now in December 5th. It went into a Supreme Court for arguments. It's been refused by several different states that held up different suits against the president once he signed the executive order for them to fight it. And now it's wound up in the Supreme Court. So this is third round around. Now it's the Supreme Court. Now the arguments begin on a full federal scale on what this amendment should be and whether it needs to be changed back to the original intent. And we'll go through.
Let's go back to the original. I'll say this and then I'll let you go. Like you said before.
Right.
The intent versus something else. So prior to this 14th Amendment, the states had the states could say who was a citizen and who was not.
Exactly.
So each state, you could be born a citizen in Ohio, and then you move to Texas, and all of a sudden you're not a citizen.
Correct.
And you say something like that can't happen. Well, it's kind of happening now in some of the laws that are done. If you take the abortion rights, you can have an abortion, in one state and not in another. Correct. And then Texas is trying to charge you with a crime if you live in Texas and you drive across state lines to have that. So you say that the intent of the law was supposed to be that states can make a decision. And now states are saying, not only can we make a decision, we can charge you with a crime if you cross the state.
Now that's kind of like, and let me say this real quick. At the end of the day, the government is supposed to work for the people, not the people work for the government. So any state that's saying, oh, if you go across state lines, who the fuck are you? I'm still my own individual person. I can still drive across state lines and do whatever the hell I want. I'm not trapped to one state. That's the whole point of 51 states. That's the whole point of it. It's because you have to travel within all of 51 states.
If you wanted to go to Canada to get some treatment, you can't do that.
Why can't you?
You say you all 51. If you say, look, I am sick, and poverty, and I would like to go to Canada and get treatment and bring that medicine back to save my life. The government says, no, you can't.
No, the state government says that.
And the federal government won't let you cross.
What is listen, what is the reach of the state government? Let's look at that. What is the reach of the state government within its own borders? That's all it controls, up to the governor. That's all it controls. The state is not in control of your rights of whether you can and cannot come in that state. Now, if they want to, because you did something wrong, say you can't come in our state anymore, that's up to them. But then you really getting down that slippery slope again.
What you mean? The states? Hold up, brother. Maybe you don't understand how.
No, I understand exactly how it works.
I can be a legal gun holder and have a carry concealed here in Texas and cross the line and be arrested.
Correct.
I can be in Las Vegas,
right,
and smoking trees all I want, and I drive to Texas, and now I just committed a felony.
If you're still under the influence, you absolutely
no. I'm talking about if I have a gummy bear in Texas. You need to look up the law, brother. You need to look up the law.
I understand in principle. Just like
no, in principle. Not in principle. Texas is strict like that, man.
Oh, listen. How are they going to know that you're high unless you get stopped by
not high? I'm saying you can have on your person a gummy bear in, say, Oklahoma. You drive across the line and had that same gummy bear in Texas, you have a felony.
Yeah, because you have possession at that point. But if you took the gummy bear,
what I'm saying. That means states can make up their own rules.
But what I'm saying is, if you took a gummy bear in Las Vegas, it's clean through your system. You drive back into Texas, you can't be arrested because you took a gummy bear.
Well, you can't be arrested, but I'm saying the laws are different. So, for instance, you're a citizen in Oklahoma and you can vote. You move to Texas. Texas says, well, birthright citizen. We don't know, brother. We don't know nothing about that. We don't think you're a citizen. So now you can't vote. You're not a citizen.
You still have to register yourself in every state. That's still a point.
No. What we talking about is birthright, meaning the same way that the states.
No. You're dividing the states again. We're still a federal government.
But here's the thing. Usually they'll kick it back. You were talking about the 14th Amendment. You said, let's go back. This is what you said. Let's go back to the original intent. Before the 14th Amendment, states stated who were citizens. That's what the states did.
Oh, you funny, brother. Danny's like, that mic is huge, no diddy. That's because the camera's real close to me. I'm like literally right there in front of the camera. So mic is looking real big right now. No diddy, like you said. But anyway, go ahead, Fearless. I didn't mean to break you up. And then we're going to go
prior to the 14th Amendment.
We all hypothetical. We're going to get some facts in here in a minute.
No, but prior to the 14th Amendment, states decided who were citizens. Correct. And when you say birthright, let's just go back to then. Your birthright came from not where you were born, from your lineage. So most of the people who came here came from England.
Which is called,
came from England.
Sanguine, man, I forgot the name already. But it's by blood. It was by blood. Now it's by soil.
Correct. So if it's by blood, then nobody's a citizen of the United States. How do you prove your citizenship to the United States?
Unless you're an indigenous Indian or somebody that's been here.
And we're gonna get into all that. So for instance, how do you prove it?
Some people now can't even do.
What's that?
The only thing you can do is try to track it by records, but a lot of records have been lost. A lot of records can't be tracked because people started off being property at first. And that was the whole point of the 14th Amendment, was the dead end. People that were there are descendants of slaves. And we're going to get into this by definition and by video.
Yeah.
But people that were descendants of slaves that were brought over here at that point were considered citizens. And that's what the 14th Amendment was for.
But then even let's go. I'm going to go down some rabbit holes with you, and I'm going to say these.
So let's go with some videos. We're going to go point by point. So let's go with the first video. Let's see if I can put that in here real quick.
Most of us trace back to a census. Nah, brother. That's going to be no, no, no. What if you adopted? Who you tracing back to? What if your father was a citizen, but he gone? He knocked up your mama. But we don't know who your daddy is. And your daddy Mexican, but your father supposedly is American. How are we going to trace you back?
To our republic. Who is an American citizen by birthright? Section 1 of the 14th Amendment grants citizenship to all persons who are, quote, born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, end quote. It is the latter clause, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, that we will examine today in significant part. Our inquiry is simple. What was the original public meaning of the jurisdiction clause? The 14th Amendment was drafted to rectify the terrible decision in the 1857 Dred Scott v. Sanford case by recognizing former slaves as rightful Americans. As we'll learn from our witnesses today, the answer is clear. The jurisdiction clause, as originally understood, grants birthright citizenship only to children whose parents have full exclusive allegiance to the United States. The constitutional text and history.
Hold on. I'm going to stop that right there. Did you hear what he said?
Mm-hmm.
Full allegiance to the United States. Now, we're importing because of humanitarian and other things. We're allowing immigrants to come in here that are not even, loyal to the United States. They're literally starting wars within our borders after they've gotten here off the hate of being here as Americans. You got people that are talking badass all day long in the U.S. because they have freedom of speech, but they're immigrants and they're not even loyal to the country that they claim they wanted to come to. But I want to continue. Let him finish his.
Hold on. Because if I'm black and hold up, this is where the slippery slope you're not thinking about. You can take that little thing off my face if you could. So I'm just.
I can't, unfortunately. Hold on, let me take it off the graphics here real quick.
So I'm just not looking like.
Yeah. So
and just to let you know, I am drinking on that alcoholic eggnog for the holidays. So here's the thing.
We're gonna go ahead and put you like that. How's that?
This is what happens. What happens when a black person says, "Man, this country is racist, man. You know, they always keeping the brother down." What do white people say?
That's not. Listen.
Hold up. What do white people say?
I don't care what they say.
Go back to where you came from.
Here's the thing.
Hold up. They say go back. Hold up. Listen. Let me say it. Let me talk.
Yeah, I get what you're about to say.
Go back to where you came from. So what you
but
just
now
said
let me tell you, as an FBA, I'll tell you, I came from here.
Hold up. But
now somebody that's a black immigrant that's saying that shit, yeah, they need to go back.
No, but what you just said was you based citizenship on allegiance. And it go to slippery slope.
It should be.
But if I say that I don't agree with what the United States does, hold up. If I say that, then it means I am not allegiant to what
this is the slope, and this is why there's a confusion. There's a lot of bleeding heart liberals that say you can say whatever the hell you want without reprisal, but yet and still there is a limit to what you can say in any other fucking country. You can't go in a whole nother. I can't even talk about politics in the Philippines, as effed up as it is. How dare me to mention anything with the politics that are going on in the Philippines? I'll be escorted right the hell up out of here. So yes, you can. There's two things can be right at the same time. And that's a lot of what's going to go on here today. Two things can be right all at the same time.
Let me explain this to you, brother, man.
Let me finish this real quick, and then we can get into the side conversation that comes from this. But that was one of the things I wanted to point out, how he said that, and he'll clear this up. Hold on.
Shows that children of illegal aliens and legal aliens who are in the United States temporarily are not citizens by birthright under the 14th Amendment. For decades, proponents of automatic birthright citizenship have claimed the 14th Amendment, and the Wong Kim Ark case bestows.
That's another thing we're going to bring up, the Wong Kim Ark case, because that's very important on how this started leaning towards anchor babies and presumptionness of being able to stay tied to the United States because you had a kid within the borders. But
automatic citizenship to all children born to foreign nationals, including illegal aliens. This is a blatant misunderstanding of both items, resulting in birthright citizenship serving as a driving force of illegal immigration to the United States as many illegal aliens and temporary visa holders know they can reap the benefits of their child's citizenship. President Trump's first-day executive order on birthright citizenship restored the 14th Amendment to this original meaning. Despite what you may hear on the news, some of the most respected legal scholars agree with the constitutional interpretation outlined in President Trump's executive order. Some of these legal scholars include those here on this panel today. Our witnesses will dive into the history of the 14th Amendment in Congress and the Supreme Court, but I'll give you a brief version. The drafters of the 14th Amendment understood it not to grant citizenship to persons, quote, owing allegiance to any foreign sovereignty, end quote. And in the first cases decided after ratification, the Supreme Court held that jurisdiction in the 14th Amendment means not merely subject in some respect or degree to the jurisdiction of the United States, but completely subject to their political jurisdiction and owing them direct and immediate allegiance. Of course, illegal aliens and legal temporary United States residents do not owe complete, direct, and immediate allegiance to the United States, and therefore their children are not citizens by birthright under the 14th Amendment. Now, I'm sure we'll hear a lot from our colleagues.
All right. Can I address that then? And first out, we got to shout out Mr. Burt. Thank you, Mr. Burt Ross. Yeah, you just gonna put my lips right on there again where I can't say nothing. Thank you, Mr. Burt Ross. Burt Ross supporting the channel, keeping up the good work with the super chat, the Cash App. Thank you, Mr. Burt Ross, for the Cash App. That helps me on my addiction and my vices that I get right here. Lots of little. You say it's watered down. You know, you like to say my shots is watered down.
Yeah,
it's milked down with that eggnog, but it's strong.
Yeah, it is milked down. Milked down. Okay. Pause.
But let me go into what
let me read these super chats real quick. Okay, that you went ahead and read yours. Let me read.
I was going to do them at the segments. Go ahead.
Well, you already did. You shouted out. Oh, my nephew of all places.
Go ahead.
Shouted him out. Shout out to Style King for the super chat, $2 super chat. Good morning, Ronin. Keep motivating the bros. Hey, I'm trying to, man. You done seen me battling room after room this week, you know, over this situation that's going on down in Brazil. So you're absolutely right. That's why I got bags under my eyes right now. And then I got one more $5 super chat from David Dice family. He says, giving my tithes to the family Ronin travelers and Mr. Fearless 360. All right, brother. Now you said you giving tithes. You got to go over the Fearless and contribute to his tithes. We appreciate the super chat and the support. He said, hit me on the Cash App. I want my money now. Anyway, go ahead and finish your thought, bro.
All right. He talked about allegiance, and this is the slippery slope that you don't talk about.
Okay.
What group of people can be citizens of both countries? I think Ben Shapiro talks about that. So
there's quite a few.
So hold up. So does he have? So are we going to ship him out? So is that whole group of people, that whole section, what we going to do with them? Because they surely have allegiance to their country. We getting rid of them, and you know that ain't going to happen. They can have dual citizenship. They can be citizens of this country, vote in this country, and vote in their country.
Like I said, there can be exceptions to the rule. Two things can be true at the same time.
Hold up. See, this is the problem. When you start, laws are written to protect rights. So,
but whose rights?
You don't limit.
Rights are they written to protect?
Just because you don't like the speech, you don't limit free speech. Just because you don't like it.
Are they written to protect, though?
What's that?
Let's be very specific. What the laws that are written to protect people, what people are they written to protect?
People who live here, because this is what happens. If you say we're going to have this birthright citizenship, how you prove you're a citizen? Oh, see, you're going to use old boy's argument, right? No, I mean, how do you prove you're a citizen?
I mean, you have to go through the records. You have to go through the birth records of you.
Brother, we got people who hold on. We got people who don't even vote because they can't get a license.
Listen, let me finish my answer before you roll into your next thing. Okay. Now, what I mean by this is, now, if we want to go back to FBA and proving you were here for reparations, then yeah, you got to go way, way back. But if we're talking about right the hell now, you have a birth record that you were born in a hospital in a fucking state in the United States. That's proof enough that you were born here in the United States. Now, if we want to go way back to the descendants' time, then yeah, it's going to be harder to track, especially if your family's records or the plantation they came in on burnt their records as you were property, as your great ancestor. But I'm talking about right now.
All right, let's talk about right now. You adopted.
Adopted from where?
We adopted. We don't know who your parents are.
From where? Right.
Huh? From here in the United States.
Okay.
Who? You a citizen?
You are.
How are you a
By
citizen?
default.
I can't hold up.
No, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you because I studied this. Listen, let me finish.
All right, tell me.
Now, if you were found and it was believed that both of your parents were born here in the United States, by default, they will give you citizenship as a child. It's written in all the laws, whether it be by soil or by blood. That is a rule. If the child was found and it was believed that the child was born here in the United States, they will give it citizenship, regardless if they know the identity of the parents.
All right. Just say just say this. Right now, if an immigrant has a child with a U.S. citizen, they're U.S. citizens. So what happens when you don't? When you can't prove who the daddy is?
Okay, once you go through the proper process and you become a naturalized citizen through immigration, then when that child is born of your loins and you're a citizen, that child is a citizen.
No, I'm talking about a woman who has a kid who doesn't say who the daddy is. So who determines citizenship? The mother.
Well, because you're in the United States is by soil. So the minute, and this is the problem, the minute the child is born by soil, the child is technically an American, regardless if the mother is a foreign. That's why you have these travel things where women come over here to have children strictly so they can have what we call an anchor baby. And we'll get into that later, but let's stay focused on what we're on right now.
All right.
So,
Can I just, I guess Paul Milner said I never served. Not to get into my personal life, but Ronin knows that I put my life on the line all the time. We won't get into that. So not to get in my personal. Am I right, Ronin? Just so,
yeah, brother.
shoot, it was higher up, baby. Higher up. I had to go to war to do that. So I won't get into that. I don't have to serve.
That's hilarious. But go ahead. What were we talking about?
So the issue is, now who you putting the burden of proof on who?
The burden of proof on, and what situation we talking about right now? Because I'm scared.
If someone has a child, so right now they can stop you and say, you need to prove to me that you're a U.S. citizen. How you gonna prove to them you're a U.S. citizen? Right now they don't have to, as long as the child was born in a United States. In general, because they scooping up people who are citizens and shipping them out.
I got that, but what I'm saying is, and the problem is, a baby born in the United States does not guarantee the parents citizenship. Okay?
No, that's correct.
That was the initial intent. All right. So just because you had a baby here, the baby might have an American-born U.S. birth certificate, but the two parents, illegal as hell, they get shipped back. So for the benefit of the child, that child's either going back with you, or because we have bleeding heart liberals and humanitarians, all of a sudden they said, well, why would we do that? For the betterment of the child, it would be easier for them to stay in this country and have all the gracious benefits that we give out versus sending them back to the cold, cruel country they came from. That's what's been going on. And we're going to get into that, but we're not there yet. Let's stay focused.
No, I understand that the parents, what I'm saying is, you get stopped. How are you proving you're a citizen?
Don't you have a driver's license? Don't, when you get a driver's license, you have to provide certain information to them?
No, you don't have to prove you're a citizen to get a driver's license.
You do have to have some kind of form of ID.
What do you think is happening in California where all them illegal immigrants are killing people with the 18-wheelers?
Yeah, and those illegal immigrants are coming in here with fake names and every fucking thing else.
So what I'm saying is, how do you prove you're a citizen? This is the
problem, and this is why you got to get your fucking arms back around that shit again. This is the problem. Too many people been allowed in here. You can't prove where you from. You can't prove your real name, even from the country you come from. And now we've given you fake names, fake identities, giving you perfect credit for you to do whatever the fuck you want. That's the problem.
So how is this birthright citizenship going to stop that?
Okay. So let's get into it. Let's get into the we got into the intent and reality. That was the subject we were just on.
Mhm.
Intent and reality. Okay. We talked about sovereignty. Okay. But I want to play
I got it. Somebody said DNA can be traced back. Your DNA don't tell you where you're from. If you did your DNA and it said you are from Sierra Leone, Africa, then let them go ship your ass back to Africa. What does your DNA have to do with your citizenship? Nothing at all.
I want to play this.
Nothing to do at all with your citizenship.
Listen, I want to play these two videos before any comment. I just want to play these two. First one is, this shit is not new. Donald Trump on
This
his
morning, a
birthright.
new interview with President Trump is revealing his plans
7
to
years
change
ago.
birthright
This video is from
citizenship in
7
the
years
U.S.
CBS 2's Cara Finstrom is here with details of what would be an extremely controversial move.
Yeah, what's being challenged here is a 150-year-old constitutional standard, and the president says he doesn't think he needs a constitutional amendment to do it. We're talking about anyone being born in the U.S. being an American citizen. He told the political website Axios, again, that he doesn't think there's a constitutional amendment needed. The president says he plans to sign instead an executive order, not go through Congress. It would remove the right to citizenship for babies of non-citizens and unauthorized immigrants born on U.S. soil. The 14th Amendment passed after the Civil War. It's
You want to read that real quick?
All persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States. And the state where they reside. That's the big part.
It was both. It was United States as a continent or a country, and then it was also state laws. So back then when it was
specifically says all persons born or naturalized in the U.S. are citizens. Axios reporters said they had heard from a source the president was talking about ending birthright citizenship, and it appears they surprised him during their interview. Here's part of it.
Now, how ridiculous. We're the only country in the world where a person comes in, has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States for 85 years with all of those benefits. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it has to end.
Have you talked about that with council?
Yeah, I have.
So where in the process?
It's in the process. It'll happen. With an executive order. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's
a very
exactly what I'm
interesting.
talking about.
I didn't think anybody knew that but me. I thought I was the only one.
See, he's
The
wrong
Supreme
about
Court
that.
has upheld the rule for legal permanent residence, but it has never decided a citizenship case that involves illegal immigration or a short-term.
now.
And the reason he's wrong about that is because of colonization. The reason most of the Western Hemisphere don't have that is because what would happen when the colonies were here, when a colony would come over and you're English and you say, well, you were born in England.
Right.
And hold up. But then when you have a child here, they say, well, you don't have any rights to anything in England. Or do you have rights to anything in England?
You do. It's by blood in England.
So then
So
you
as long
aren't
as you have
a
a
citizen. That's what I'm saying. So then you aren't a
You can have
citizen.
dual citizen. No, you can have dual citizenship. That's where that comes in. If you can prove by blood in England, just same thing with Philippines. Philippines, even if you're born outside the country, if you have a born national Filipino or Filipina that's overseas, foreign overseas workers or whatever, and they have a child, that child can be brought back to that country, this country, and naturalized or giving dual citizenship.
So I got a question for you. What happens there? Yeah, we're not the only country in the world. We got a whole Western Canada, United States, Mexico. We got the whole Western part and even some places in Africa. So let's just say this then. You have a child, but he's not brought back
Right.
to the Philippines. Then he has a child.
Mm-hmm.
What is that child? Your grandchild.
That child would be considered born of whatever soil it was in. But at the same time, if the parent went back and actually filed the paperwork with the Philippines or whatever country they're from, and it was by blood, they would have dual citizenship. They would still have right of dual citizenship. Does not have a fucking time limit.
But
If
now
you
wait,
can
hold
prove
on,
you
hold
come
on.
from that,
You got people who can't even who can't get a license to vote because they don't have records. So now you telling me you got to get a license to show you a citizen?
but is that the fault of the government or the person's family? You're making it both.
But how can it be the part of the person's family if I'm born? All right, let's just say this: I'm born, my parents die.
Okay. Do they not have records of your birth? Do you not have a birth certificate? Do you don't know where hospital?
But
you
the
were
thing
born
is,
in?
it's my birthright. It's just not that I'm born here. I got to prove that my parents were citizens.
At any time in the world, in any time since you've been born, have you not had to prove with a birth certificate that you were born here?
Correct. But
So
here's
once
the thing.
wait. So
No,
once you
I have to prove that I'm born here because being born here makes me a citizen. But what you're
correct.
saying
Now
is,
stop. Let me finish. So once you've proved with a birth certificate in any one of the continental 50 states with a birth certificate saying you were born here, the other states in kind follow. Now, if you don't have a birth record, you can.
you're not listening to yourself.
Let me finish my answer. Okay. Now, if you were born here and you went and said, oh, my parents died, I don't have a birth certificate. What do? You call vital records, vital statistics. You let them know the name of your mom and the name of your father. They will find your birth certificate and send you a copy of it.
Ronin.
That's how advanced technology is. So what am I getting wrong?
You've proven my point.
What point is that?
I'm born here. That makes me a citizen. What you're saying is you're taking that away. You're taking you're taking birthright citizenship away. Birthright citizenship means I'm born here, I'm a citizen. But if I'm born here, my birth certificate means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. All that shows is I'm born in the United States. Born in the United States does not make me a citizen if it goes into effect of birthright citizen means nothing.
That's
you
the
just
point.
made my point. My birth certificate in the United States, if the law, as of this moment, me being born in the United States make me a citizen. That's because it's birthright citizenship. If they get rid of birthright citizenship, me being born in the United States.
Stop. Who would be affected if they got rid of birthright citizenship?
Anyone born in the United States would have to prove that their parents were citizens. They would that's what Donald Trump just said.
That is not what he said. I'll play what he just said. If you want me to play it, let me play this. This is recent. This is as of him signing the actual executive order.
Listen to what he says. He doesn't want someone from a foreign country to come over here and have a child.
That was hypothetical. Listen, that was hypothetical 7 years ago. The news article you just heard was from 7 years ago when he was the president before Biden took over. He wanted to do it back then. It didn't happen before he got eliminated and Biden took in. Now he comes back in office. Within February, he signs all these orders, and one was birthright citizenship. This is what he said as he was signing the actual executive order, not the hypothetical 7 years ago, but as he was signing it, this was his intent for signing it. And I'm going to play it.
What position?
Birthright citizenship.
I think so, yeah. Look, birthright citizenship was, if you look back when this was passed and made, that was meant for the children of slaves. This was not meant for the whole world to come in and pile into the United States of America, everybody coming in and totally unqualified people with perhaps unqualified children. This wasn't meant for that. This was meant.
Now, let me be clear. Unqualified doesn't mean as an insult. Unqualified means you didn't go through the proper process to get in here. That's what that means. But he wasn't trying to be racist when he said that. Think about it.
When it was originally done for the children of slaves. Black patriots fought and bled on the battlefields of the American Revolution, and they really did. When you read the history, what they gave up, they gave everything to smash the chains of slavery and preserve our nation, and they did it with incredible bravery. They helped win the Wild West, tame the skies, and save freedom in the Second World War. They're warriors. From the very beginning, Black Americans have been a vital part of the American story, helping to make this the greatest nation in the history of the world. So true. Thank you. We thank you.
All right. So you tell
Let
me
me,
when
let me go back to this. Me being born here now makes me a citizen, right?
All right.
So what happens to the new people who are born? What makes them a citizen?
Okay. Let's get into it.
All right.
So if you are already an American citizen when you were born, if he ratifies this intent and goes back to the original intent, it goes back to if you were a naturalized citizen or if you were a citizen that went through the process and became a legal U.S. citizen, the child that is born is an American citizen. But if you're an illegal and you're still not tied to somebody that is an American citizen, that child does not belong to this country.
All right. So how do I prove that my parents were citizens?
Birth certificates, driver's license, history.
Your birth certificate shows who you are. If I'm adopted, I'm adopted. If one of my parents, let's just say this.
You just filled out a birth
Let's say this. Let's say this
No,
all
no,
the time.
wait.
Hold
No, this
up,
is
brother.
perfect.
Hold up. I got one
Wait,
for
wait.
you. I got
Go
one
ahead.
for you.
Are y'all hearing this?
33% of the daddies put on the birth certificate.
Mhm.
Daddy.
Mhm.
So
I
if
agree.
your mom has your kid
Mhm.
and your daddy ain't your daddy,
Mhm.
and your daddy's Jose and not Tyrone, how you
Mhm.
prove you're a U.S. citizen?
Is your mama an American
No,
citizen?
no,
You don't need both to be American citizen. You only need one.
no. But your
So
mom
this
is
whole
your mama is not a
Oh,
citizen.
my daddy ain't the daddy. It
No,
don't
your
matter.
mama's
If
not.
your
Hold up.
mama
Your
is
mom's
fucking
not a
US
citizen.
then
Your
you're a
mom's
US.
not a citizen.
She's
Your
not a
mom ain't a
citizen either.
citizen.
She's not a citizen, and they don't know who the father is. And the baby was here.
Correct.
Two things can happen. They can either have sympathy and say if the identity of the father is not obtained, they can either say, we'll go ahead and tether him to the United States and give her temporary citizenship while it works out or investigated to figure out if they can track down the father, or she gets deported with that fucking child. There's no fucking sympathy in
here's
that.
what you're doing. Here's what happens. There's this video of this dude, man. I wished I could show it to you. He's in Sweden.
Right.
And he's documented every time he comes across the border, he gets stopped. And they say, pull here,
Mhm.
pull here, pull here. I don't know if you've seen that.
Mhm.
He's documented it every day for a year. He gets questioned whether he's a Swedish citizen. So now what's going to happen is you're going to have the cops try to interpret who is a citizen. I can arrest you, put you in detention until you prove who you are. And if you can't prove it, you get deported to wherever we say. The reason we make the laws, we don't make free speech so that we want people to say what we want them to say. Free speech is made to protect your speech. The same way we're here. You start putting the laws into the people's hands, into the government's hands, and they interpret it how they want to. That becomes the issue. Where, like you said, well, we're gonna leave it up to them. Oh well, if you're born in Europe, hold up.
Wait, you gotta be
If you white,
who's them.
if you white, we don't ship you. But if you dark skinned, maybe we ship you. Now you give them to interpretation. Who's a citizen and who's not a citizen, and that becomes a problem. When interpretation becomes distortion.
And who opened that Pandora's box when they started fucking with the original 14th Amendment?
No, the when you say messing with the original 14th Amendment, tell me what
Oh,
you're saying.
and we can get into what we talked about earlier with the what's the person's name? Wong Kim Ark decision of 1898. Okay. It granted legal
LJ
status.
said it. I like what LJ said. He said birth certificates are proof of live birth.
Yeah.
Not citizenship.
Live birth in what country though?
But
You
not-
got to be very specific. See, y'all like to leave out terminology.
You can have a birth certificate. Oh, let me see.
Real quick, while you doing all that, let me shout out my brother.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you. Oh,
and fellow Marine. Hold on, let me get the super chat while you looking that up. Get yourself together.
I got right here paperwork.
All right, hold on. All right, and yeah, I was gonna ask you. You just went through this with your own baby. Hold on. Super chat for $9.99. Thank you so much, T Mac. I appreciate the support. Even though Fearless picked Carnelo over Crawford, which is, oh my God, really?
I was giving it to the Mexican, man. You know,
my Marine brother. Thank you, T Mac. I appreciate the support of the channel always, even in the background, because this brother will send us a cash app in the background. Don't expect anything. We really do appreciate you supporting our channels. Thank you so much. All right, go ahead and pull out your damning evidence that you have.
What he said, he says birth certificate shows location. Location don't mean nothing. Location is just where you born. So if you got two Mexican people that came here,
listen to what you just said.
It shows where you
Let's go point by point.
It shows where you were born. It doesn't show if you a citizen. Hold up, Ronin, don't cut me off. If I got, let's do this. Jose and Maria have a kid. They both live in Texas. It shows the birth, and so when they have a baby, that baby is born in Oklahoma. Okay. The birth certificate, when I say if they citizens, it'll say Jose is the daddy, Maria the mama. Jose is from Texas, Maria from Texas, and the baby born in Oklahoma. None of that tells you if they citizens. It don't care where you born at. It can say, matter of fact, it's even worse. Let's go beyond that. Let's go beyond that. Let's go beyond that.
Oh my God.
If my
you
child,
let me respond to your first statement. You gotta let me respond to your first statement. Let me respond to that first. You bring up your next one. So location is a factor, right? So if
no, it's not a factor. Location is not a factor.
Listen, you're making a big deal. Hold on. If they were born in the United States, currently, what is the law? By soil. Don't matter whether Jose, whoever had a baby. It's by soil. So that child is automatically given U.S. citizenship.
You talking about now, but I'm talking about if they change the law.
I'm talking about back then.
I'm talking about right now if they change the law. Somebody in the comments said what makes you a citizen is at this time is if you are born here. That's what makes you a citizen. But if you're getting rid of this law, it doesn't matter.
I'm getting rid of it. He's changing it back to the original intent. This is the problem. People say he's getting rid of the whole thing and rewriting it.
What does he change? All right, let's go to
so we slid down the original slippery slope.
So what does he change? What is when you say the original intent?
Listen, right along with Juan Kim, it started. Then the whole anchor baby shit started. Okay, Juan Kim was the first step. Then by the 20th century, with family law, immigration laws, and all these other things kept on persisting with these children coming in, born of this country, then it started becoming, oh, well, what's the best interest through humanitarian rights? What's the best interest of the child? The parents should be able to stay in the United States as long as they have a U.S. born citizen, which is that fucking baby. So it's a trick to ratify whatever fucking laws we had to make them empathetic and sympathetic to the two parents that weren't citizens that had a baby while they were here.
You can't revert back. You keep saying revert back. When you revert back, the states determine citizenship.
Oh my goodness. We're not going all the way far back.
You just said it. I didn't say it. You just said we want to revert back to the original intent of the law.
Of the 14th Amendment, not before it. You're going all the way back before the 14th Amendment. Listen, you're going all the way back to before.
All right, let's just start from today.
Let's go right to the 14th
Let's start from today. Okay. How do you determine who is a citizen? And then this person said it reverts back to the citizen of the parent.
Correct.
Hold on. Let me see if I can do this. I don't want to cover this up. This is does it got her name? Nope. I got a birth certificate here.
Of the Dominican Republic.
Yep.
But you had to go back and show them a birth certificate from the United States
hold
as
up,
well.
Hold up. Let's just do this. They said it reverts back to the citizen of the parent. Let's just say my child was born here.
Right. But you got an anchor person.
Let me give you the scenario. My child born here, I leave her. I leave. Mm-hmm. I get her pregnant and I leave her.
Mm-hmm.
My child born here. What is she a citizen of? You can't say
Your
the
child-
birth certificate.
wait,
Hold
wait,
up. You
wait,
can't
wait.
say the birth certificate because my wife's birth certificate is Dominican Republic.
Did you not just say the child was born here, but she left here?
You keep hold up. You keep going with the law now. But when the law changes, the law
It's not
will
going
be
to change that much, bro. It's you're making it seem like he's going back to
No,
before we were ratified this.
No, I'm going to somebody in here said it reverts back to the citizenship of the parents.
Just because they said it doesn't mean that's a fact that that's where it's going.
Let's do this. If the child is born here and the parent isn't a citizen, then what happens?
We already went through that scenario.
So you're
Why
saying
would
they get deported?
If the child's known parent is anchored to the United States and she can prove it, the child
How she
gets
gonna prove it?
You just said y'all were married.
Judge Judy when a woman got 13 men on there and none of them was their daddy. How you gonna prove it?
Bro, you just said y'all were together and she left you.
In general, how many women out here
Oh
have
my God.
kids and
You
never put
keep
the daddy on?
changing the hypothetical, bro.
No, because you got in order to write a law, you have to do those
Oh, my
hypotheticals.
goodness.
That's how law gets written. You have to
Yes,
do the
absolutely.
hypotheticals.
And I've
because
answered them, but you keep on moving it.
you not answered it. How
I
do you
haven't.
prove the citizenship? You just said the daddy, and I'm saying, well, the daddy don't mean that. He not there. How you prove a citizenship?
Let me bring this.
Did this man just say that the 14th Amendment birthright?
Hold on, we're gonna hold up and let her play because she's ranting. I'm like you are.
Because you keep moving the goal.
I know who you are, Rico, but we trying to keep this between me and him. Hold on. Let me play this, and she's gonna argue your argument for you. Okay?
That's a beautiful young lady right there.
All right. Yeah, because she's on your side.
That's right.
Birthright citizenship was only meant for the babies of slaves. Let's talk about the history behind the 14th Amendment and why
And
any
her
discussion and
interpretation
debate
of it.
around it should honestly be concerning for us all. The 14th Amendment was passed by Congress in 1866 and then it was ratified 2 years later in 1868. And no, it wasn't written to protect the babies of the formerly enslaved. It was written to correct deep injustice. After the Civil War, Congress needed to overturn the infamous Dred Scott decision that said that any black person, free or enslaved, could not be citizens of the United States. So the 14th Amendment made it plain. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdictions thereof are citizens. This wasn't an amendment just made for black people, but to help all groups.
I think he messed up. Good, he gone. So my
No. I'm right here. I paused it for a reason. For a fact. I paused for effect.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the effect was, what did she just say? Let me run it just a little bit back. Let's say
And subject to the jurisdictions thereof are citizens. This wasn't an amendment just made for black people, but to help all groups.
Okay. This was when? The 14th Amendment was approved. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So all persons at that point in time, you think the founding fathers are thinking in the future that people were going to keep on changing their original amendment to allow everybody else in the fucking country? At that time, they were trying to
say this when you finish with your rant. I'm gonna tell you this. You finish?
And I thank you, T-Mac, for saying this.
No problem. You just said.
Hold
up, Ronin. You just said when the founding fathers wrote this amendment, they weren't thinking about this. I'm going to ask you a question. When the founding fathers wrote the what amendment lets you carry guns?
Second Amendment.
The Second
Amendment.
Okay. Were they thinking about Uzis and M16s and things like that?
No, they just said weapons. They defaulted to.
Hold up. You can't go back on what their intent was, because if we go back on their intent, hold up, because I can say they just had muzzle loaders. And if they only had muzzle loaders back in the 1845 or whenever they did
you hear the use of the word?
And we should only have muzzle loaders now.
Right. Did you hear the usage of a word of weapons? They didn't get specific and say pistolas or rifles. They just said all Americans have the right to weaponize themselves, to protect themselves. It's not a specific weapon that they name.
All right, let me.
Just because technology advanced and we got all these other weapons.
No. It doesn't say that. It says the right to bear arms.
Okay, there you go. That's a weapon.
But back at
So
that
what
time,
kind
the
of
only
arms?
hold up. But back at that time, the only arms you could bear were muzzle loaders. So they weren't thinking, oh man, I could, you know, I could get an M16. So, and the reason I'm saying this is you keep saying the intent of the law. I can't
Right.
go by what the intent, I can only go by
Why?
what is written. Because if the intent of the law,
We all read it.
no, you can't go by the intent.
What? Oh my
You,
God.
you can't hold up. That's why they
Oh,
write laws, not so you can interpret it, so it's written
uh,
down. That's why you say the second
now
is
help
freedom
him
of
out.
speech.
Help him out in the chat, please.
You
Help
can't
him
do
out.
that. How can you go by the intent of something? That's what what's that
The
dude?
intent is what?
Canino?
The idea behind it, the belief
the
behind
guy
it. That's
who,
what intent means, right? Isn't
what's
that
that?
what intent means? Intent means the belief or the thought behind why you're doing a certain thing, correct?
No, they don't write it like that. That's why you write it down so you don't interpret it. So you don't interpret it.
Are you sure you're not interpreting it because it's been distorted?
No, you can't interpret the law like that. That's where the problem comes in. That's why you say this, this, and this.
Do you know this law?
and
Wait. Do you know the amendment was challenged twice? The first time it lost, when it was closer to the original time that it was written, and then as time, humanitarianism, liberalism comes in, and people just feeling bad for others, the Supreme Court softened, and then because of Kim Ark, they went ahead and ratified it a little bit to allow it to be inclusive of everybody. But before then, it was challenged a couple times, and it was denied.
Slavery was challenged. You mean it doesn't mean anything?
But the whole point of the original writing or the intent was just to clear up any misunderstanding that the children and descendants of slaves and the people that were here were also granted the ability to be United States citizen with all privilege included. People that were there right then. It did not write for future purposes.
Ronin, whenever you have an interpretation of the law, they change the law to make it solid. That's when the person says go to the Supreme Court.
Not interpretation, it's called
That's what the
perception.
Supreme Court does. When one person says we think it's this on the law, and they say we think it's this on the law, then the Supreme Court says we don't want an interpretation of the law. We want the law. So they come in and say this is the law, and this is what it was meant to be, and they make it concrete, so there is no more interpretation.
No, everybody's right now is their perception. That's the proper word to use, not interpretation, because y'all ain't trying to interpret the words. I pay attention to words for a reason. You guys have a certain perception that you see that the law should be, but in clear black and white English, it does not say anything like that in those words that were written and you read yourself.
And that's why the Supreme Court comes in and says, this is what it meant. That's what the Supreme Court is to say. They say whatever laws that were written, like they said, by Congress, we don't want to interpret that law. It was written vague. That's why I say, oh, this law was vague. It may not approve this. This is what the spirit of the law meant. And so they put it in the words.
I'm not hiding. I'm literally just eating my breakfast. I'm sorry. But go ahead.
That's why they say, well, what does freedom of speech mean? Oh, before freedom of speech, you can't burn a flag. No, you can burn a flag. They said this is the intent of the law was not to do that. Not this is what it does. They go in. Yeah, the Supreme Court isn't to interpret the law, it's to interpret the law passed by Congress. Correct. But they to make it solid to say, hey, this is unconstitutional. They can also do that. The Congress can write a law that becomes unconstitutional. They can say this is not constitutional.
Right. Enough with all the hypotheticals. Was the initial intent and the writ of the 14th Amendment unconstitutional in any way? Or was it to be inclusive of everybody that was there right then? So there wouldn't be any misunderstanding. It was clear and concise who they were talking about at that time. Nobody has a crystal ball and they can't see into the future. What they can see is what they're dealing with right now here in this situation right now.
Then what you're saying is at that time when they wrote a law about the Second Amendment, they weren't talking about M16s.
They were talking about the rights to bear arms, period, by every citizen, regardless of what the arms was. That's what you're trying to limit it to, one type of ammunition. They had cannons. They had this. They had a whole bunch of things.
So what about freedom of speech?
Rice is life, Danny. I can't deal with you, bro. Go ahead. What did you say?
So what about freedom of speech?
Freedom of speech is a given right of the land, period. To a point.
Because
you can still go to jail.
No, there was something you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Your citizenship should be taken whether you pledge your allegiance to the government. Where does it say in the Constitution you have to pledge your allegiance to the United States?
Do you understand that you have a freedom of speech up until you start inciting riots and different things to overturn?
I never said that. I said, where does it say
so when you have a foreigner or an immigrant that's coming in saying you need to change or ratify this law and that law because it's not fair to us and this, that, and the other thing, and they're not even citizens yet, they're just immigrants. They're trying to what? Incite a riot? Incite what?
That's not inciting a riot. That's freedom of speech.
They don't have that right yet, but yet and still they still exercise and we don't
that right as soon as you cross.
Again, like I said, I can't go into any other country but America.
That's not another country. When you come into the United States, anyone in the United States has freedom.
Most people can't say anything against the Colombian government, Brazilian government. You can't go in as an American citizen and start talking about everybody's government. You will get kicked the fuck out.
That's not freedom of speech.
But yet and still people they do have wait. They do have freedom of
speech.
They do have freedom of speech out here to certain things. As a foreigner,
then it's not freedom of speech. Then it's not freedom of speech.
Because you're in America, all of a sudden you're given all these extra rights of freedom of speech.
Extra rights.
You can speak against our own government, yet and still you want to be in our country.
Freedom of speech is not to protect the rights of the people who can't talk. It's for rights where you don't want to hear what you can't hear.
Thank you, Rico. Laws can be limited to non-citizens.
Not freedom of speech and not the freedom of protection. Hold on. No, it's not. Brother, why do you think we got Guantanamo Bay? The reason we got Guantanamo Bay is because if you put them people,
that's my base. Those are Marine.
Hold up. If you put those people and you put them in the United States, you know what applies? Even if they non-citizens, Rico, you know what happened if those people from Guantanamo Bay was brought to the United States? What applies? You was in the Marines, you tell me.
Say that again.
Why did we take people?
Right. And wait, let's be very specific.
I'll tell you.
What people did we take?
We took terrorists, whomever.
Right.
Why didn't we bring them to the United States to put them on trial?
Because we weren't done interrogating them yet.
Brother, do you know when 9/11 was?
Yeah, I do.
They've been there for 25 years. We ain't done interrogating them yet.
Wait. Do you realize we just bombed Nigeria for ISIS people that are still out there?
Been there 25 years. We still ain't done interrogating them. You think they know what's going on now?
I don't care.
Hold up. I'll tell you just so you know. Rico said it for due process. Because once you come into the United States, the laws in the United States apply to you.
No, they do and they don't. And here's the problem.
How don't they? What do you mean they don't?
Let me finish. They do and they don't. And this is where the bleeding heart liberals and everybody and the humanitarians and the lawyers against this and the lawyers against that and the feminists and this, that, and the other thing start getting involved. And without them getting involved, you can probably get some fucking real answers from people. But when they get involved, they start feeling for things that should not have feelings when the person's a known terrorist.
How are they a known terrorist? Who called them a known terrorist? Hold up. And I don't want to bring this back, and I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah, let's stay on the.
I'm gonna say this: is Floyd a known sexual predator? Is he a known sexual predator?
Oh my God! Pause. We are off topic.
All right. How many known criminals? How many known criminals just got out by the Innocent Project?
I don't know. You tell me since you got that information.
How many known daddies ain't the daddy?
We don't know that either.
33% of the people who get the DNA test ain't the daddy.
The people that admitted to it. Let's talk about that.
But it's the same thing. You keep saying, "Oh, they known terrorists." By what process? You can't be a known criminal. The reason you go to court and have your due process and have evidence for you or against you is to prove your innocence or guilt. You just condemn you. How did you fight for this country and you just condemn somebody without due process?
You want to know why? And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why.
And this is the screwed up part about the United States, how they can bomb a boat in Venezuela without even having nobody go to court.
Let me tell you why. Tell you why. And thank you, T-Mac, for bringing this up.
Mm-hmm.
Once we were under the USMJ, it opened my eyes to what rights you really do have as a citizen and what rights you don't. I'm serving my fucking country. I'm risking my life in the United States Marine Corps, and I've done war. Do you know under the UCMJ, if I get found for anything or accused, I'm fucking guilty. I have to prove myself innocent. That's against the United States laws and abiding of everything else. And I'm a fucking citizen trying to defend my country. And
that's
I'm
military. Military law, the military
excuses for reasons. Now, if I'm military and I'm serving my country and protecting it, and I have that restraint, how come a foreigner gets a better restraint than somebody serving their own fucking country? Why are we so fucking empathetic to some foreigner when an American citizen is defending their country and don't have those fucking rights? As a military man.
Hold up. As a military man, we just dropped a bomb on some Venezuelan boats. Ain't nobody proved that they was doing something.
We ain't here. Here's the problem with the military too. And it's not a problem. We don't question the rules. As long as it's not going against ethics or codes of enforcement, we follow the orders. That's for the generals and the senators and everybody else to fucking figure out. We execute. But the problem is, even when we execute, and if we guess wrong, guess what? We're still under that UCMJ. We're already guilty, even though we pulled the trigger because it was an order. Was it a lawful order? We actually have to question that.
So it's interpretation. So it's interpretation?
Sometimes it has to be. It does, because some officers think they're above the law, just like you got cops that believe they're above the law. And they interpret the law incorrectly, and they basically rule with an iron fist, and they shouldn't be. They're there to serve and protect and serve the country or that city. They're not there to become Gestapo, but they do.
All I know is intent does not override text. Never.
And the text was written very distinctly to be very clear. That's why it was so simple.
If it was so clear, then it can't be left up to interpretation.
You know why? I just told you. When they opened the door to allow the change with this Kim Ark agreement, it opened the door for all the other shit to come. And now, hindsight being 2020, X amount of generations later, we see how fucked up the United States is because we started becoming humanitarians, allowing all these people to come in off of sympathetic needs of anchor babies and everything else. Now, all Trump is saying is, let's go back to the original agreement. Not any further back, but let's go back to the original agreement.
Explain to me what the original agreement is so I have an understanding.
It was to allow the citizens, the slaves, the children of slaves.
We're beyond slaves. So how does it apply it to me today? Apply it today.
Apply it today.
What does that mean?
Let's apply it to today. Any foreign person coming to this country needs to apply, go through the proper procedures through immigration in order to become a naturalized citizen.
Okay, that's how
it is. Right. And if you don't do that, you're not a citizen. It's simple as that.
Okay. That's not birthright citizenship. So what if they're here and they have a child?
Who's the father?
No. What if they have a child? What is that child? Is that child a citizen or not a citizen?
That's u sole. U sole means of soil. That means they were born here. They're United States citizens. That's not being argued. What's being argued is because of anchor baby rules and all this other bullshit that really didn't come in the 14th Amendment, parents have used that anchor baby to stay and be extended into the country illegally, haven't gone through the process of becoming ever citizens. They stay here 20, 30 years, and they don't become citizens as parents, but they're anchored here because of their child, for the betterment of the child. This is the fucking problem.
No, because you can get deported if you're not a citizen. There was that
and that's the issue right now. All these parents that did not, with their anchor baby, take the time to become United States citizens because they were safe because they thought the anchor baby was going to keep them here forever.
No,
They're
brother,
still here illegally. What happens when your child is past 20 and they move out the house? Now you got two illegals sitting in the house, but they were here because they were taking care of that child. It doesn't end.
brother. I don't think you understand what that.
I
what
do.
that means.
I clearly do.
Let me read. I just want to know exactly what it is.
Yeah. You can read anything you want. Call for help.
No, anchor baby is used to refer to a child born
Right.
to a non-citizen mother
Right.
in a country which has birthright citizenship, especially when viewed as providing an advantage for family members seeking
For the
citizenship.
betterment of the child.
For
But
the
they
child.
never get citizenship. That's been the issue.
But
The
today,
parents never got citizenship.
that doesn't mean
So
anything.
so
They can
yes, it
still
does.
deport them.
Listen, yes, and that's what's happening, and people are getting mad over it. This person's been here 20 years, but they were here with an anchor baby. The anchor baby moved out the house. Now you got two illegals, the parent and the mother. I mean, the father and the mother sitting in the house, sitting there still illegal because they didn't take the 20 years to become citizens.
But here's the thing. That has always been the case. You can always deport somebody who's not a
So
citizen.
because it's been the case, and what's the definition of insanity? Continue to repeat the same action over and over again, expecting a different result. So we're going to continue this insanity instead of try to fucking fix it.
So you saying passing the law is going to fix it?
No, going back to the original intent of the law is going to fix some of it. And then what ICE is doing and everything else is going to fix the
ICE
rest.
can do that. Look, through your greatest president that you love, your pride, Barack Obama, was deporter in chief.
What the hell?
So he was deporting people. Hold up. He's the liberal.
The person that I would have loved to be president never became president. Don't say any of these other guys were. I went 100% for Ross Perot.
Right.
If Perot had been president, man, yeah, a lot of things would be different right now.
But you say he's going back. I'm still trying to find out. So what you're saying is, if you're born in the United States, if the law changes, if you're born in the United States, you're a citizen.
As long as you weren't born of somebody that was not a citizen.
Okay. So how do you prove that your parents were not citizens?
That's up to your parents to prove.
Oh, Lord, man. You're going to tell me if I'm a 5-year-old kid and my parents die, it's up to my parents to prove it?
Again,
or if I'm just living. If I'm just living, how can my parents prove that they citizens?
How did they get here?
What you mean how they got here?
Come on,
They
you
was
know your
born
parents.
here.
You give me the hypothetical. They were born here too.
No, they
So
came.
did
No, they came over when they were 5.
Okay, so they came over when they 5. Did they ever go through the process of becoming citizens themselves?
Nope.
They just were lazy and didn't go through the process.
Yep.
We got a brother right now that we sit on Lion's Den with. He came over here 2 years old from Haiti.
No, not him.
No, stop. I'm giving you
worried about him.
No, bro. Come on, man. You can't throw a hypothetical and then when I give you a real check.
No. Because what you saying? No, because you just moved the goalpost, Ronin.
I did not. I'm clarifying what you just
said.
said.
What if they are born here? And you said you got to prove their parents. And I said their parents came over when they were 5. So the parents came over when they were 5 years old.
And they were lazy, never became citizens.
Correct. I ain't worried about them. I'm saying they had a kid while they were here. Now what? What is the kid?
If the parents are not citizens, it is a citizen.
How is the kid a citizen?
Listen, I just did this on August 25th when the law started pushing and ratifying that amendment when it came to immigration. Remember, we just had this conversation. August 25th.
Maybe you're not listening to me, so I'll say it slow. I don't care if the parents are not citizens. I'll give you that. The parents came over when they 5 years old. They not citizens. They was born somewhere else. Those parents, non-citizen parents, have a child. What is that child?
By soil, technically, they're a United States citizen.
Then that's an anchor baby.
Listen.
You didn't
the
change
law,
anything.
Listen, let me finish. What the problem is, even with the 14th Amendment, it never guaranteed the parents citizenship because they had the baby. Yes, the baby can be hold up, let me finish.
No, I'm fine with
the
that.
baby can be the United States citizen and still all of them can be deported. And when the baby comes back as a grown fucking adult, they can utilize everything that deals with America. But what we have been doing is allowing this because the baby is here, the parents to stay. That's the problem.
We don't. We ship them out all the time.
That's bullshit. No, we have not.
Man, I've seen it where they get shipped out. It don't matter.
This is recently. In the past, no. They've been letting them stay, bro.
In the past, we just I can't even. I don't know how far we go back to people being.
Yo, can somebody drop a 1 in the chat if I'm fucking crazy or not? Please. Am I crazy?
Let's see. Somebody said, let's answer a question about the Native Americans not being covered by the 14th Amendment. Oh man, let's
because
go with
it's
that.
a separate nation. There's 2 nations within the United States.
That is true.
Indians are not subject to. That's why you have Indian reservations. They actually have their own police force.
Mm-hmm.
There are treaties in place that still are in place to this day. That is a
Police
separate.
can't go into the reservation and arrest them.
Can't go into the reservation and do shit. This is why they impose on their land and try to run oil fields and say eminent domain. And the Indians say, no, on our fucking property, you can try that bullshit somewhere else. This is land that was guaranteed to us way before you were even born. That's why.
Exactly. But you still ain't give me your scenario because you still ain't answering me.
What's that? Oh, I just told you.
So the kid is a United States citizen.
The kid only is a United States citizen.
But it's
doesn't mean
always been that. It's the parent is not a United States citizen.
But here's the thing. In the past, what was happening was the kid was born, but then the parents were illegal. So they tried to ship the parents and the child out of here. But you're neglecting the child's rights to United States citizenship. That's what started coming up. So they said, okay, fine. We'll grant the parents an extension on whatever stay they have because it's for the betterment of the child. That's the whole idea behind the anchor baby story. This has changed over the years, but what opened the door was 1898's decision with Wong King Mark. Up until then, it was like a hell no. You can't stay. And no, you're not a citizen. It changed to of soil.
What is that boy's name? Oh, that's it. That's right.
What?
When you say that let me. I got to remember how that sounds.
Okay.
How they did.
Oh, while you're doing that, let me play this girl so she can continue to bolster you.
Groups by defining citizenship and protecting freedom, a right that used to be denied to a lot of groups. Because let's just say that defining citizenship before the 14th Amendment in the United States was discombobulated and discriminatory. Citizenship was usually defined by each state and by the concept of birthright citizenship that we inherited from British common law, but it wasn't applied equally. Then came the Naturalization Act of 1790, which granted citizenship to free white people. So Native Americans excluded. Black people, free or enslaved, yeah, definitely excluded. And if the outcome of the 1790 Naturalization Act didn't make citizenship clear, the Dred Scott case would for Black people. Honestly, it made it worse, declaring us not citizens and saying that we were not entitled to citizenship, period. Hence the 14th Amendment after the Civil War. And after the ratification of the 14th Amendment, birthright citizenship would still be questioned in 1898. This time in a Supreme Court case called United States versus Wong Kim.
Hold up. See how the interpretation gets skewed by whoever's giving it? Do you understand how she's changing and rewriting history based on her interpretation of it? A lot of shit she said was incorrect.
Okay, but she's not the court. She's not the court.
Exactly. But this is how misinformation gets divulged moment after moment after moment. Half of the things she said were half right. But some of the things she's saying is absolutely incorrect. Shout out to Rico Kimbo. What's up, bro?
And we might we won't stay on long, but we might bring up one person at a time.
No,
not a panel, brother. We bring up a
okay, we'll do that. But let's finish listening to her interpretation and historical revision from her young eyes.
Arc. This is where the Supreme Court ruled that regardless of any parent's citizenship, if a child is born in the United States, they are a citizen of the United States. That precedent has stood for over 100.
Okay. What did I say earlier? The Kim Wong arc is where the first dagger in that 14th Amendment started to change the initial intent. Didn't I just say that? I said that earlier before she said it. All right. I just want to make sure I'm staying on point.
125 years and now is being challenged. Today's Supreme Court ruling did not touch on the issue and constitutionality of birthright citizenship as detailed in the 14th Amendment. Instead, it limited how far federal judges could block it, meaning the executive order could still take place in states where it has not been stopped by a federal judge. I made this video today because we need to understand that the 14th Amendment was a course correction in American history, a response to centuries of exclusion when it came to people that were born in this country. But now that we're seeing
Did you hear what she said? People that were born in this country at that time, they didn't look into the future in a crystal ball and say, we need to account for all these immigrations because we're going to open up all our borders because we're a land of the free, home of the brave, and we want everybody.
They're opening up borders. They're not opening up borders, but you still. I don't see you answer my question.
That's what I'm saying. But let me finish.
Efforts from this administration to challenge and unravel that history, I have to ask you guys this question. If after the Civil War we fought to define U.S. citizenship once, why are we trying to do it all over again? This is why knowing the real freedom story and the true complex history of the United States is important. Because when we don't, or it's misconstrued, cherry-picked, twisted, we're bound to repeat the mistakes of the past, and we also don't understand how fragile freedom has always been for certain groups in this country.
Boom.
I still don't understand what the boom is. Because from my understanding, all right, how do you prevent, by your definition, a Mexican person from coming over here, crossing the border, having a child, and that child not being a citizen?
You have to go back to the original intent.
You didn't tell me how we prevent it.
Let me say, I did. You said, well, what would the process be?
No, I said, how do you prevent that? How do you prevent
that? You send them both back across the border. You don't let it happen. And then you tell them to come back in this country the proper way, through the border, through paperwork, and come in here.
You can tell them all you want. What happens when they sneak across the border and then they have a kid?
Hold on. Do not other people export children from their country and the parents? Do we scream and yell when other countries send Americans back because they overstayed their fucking visas?
So what happened? What is that child? You still didn't tell me.
The child by soil is born in America, which makes them an American citizen, but it does not make the parents an American citizen, which does not guarantee them the right to stay. So then it gets into state laws and sympathetic humanitarianism where people say, oh my God, for the good of the child, because they're a citizen, why would you let them go to a devastated country instead of staying here and taking advantage of all the American benefits?
You said a whole bunch of word salad, brother. You still didn't.
No, I didn't. I said exactly what I meant.
So you deporting the kid.
If the parent wants that child to stay with them, yes, they can go back to their country and make a living.
So you have at what age do you deport? What, I mean, when you say make a living, what was the child?
The child is Mexican anyway because he was born to a Mexican national.
So you're saying
it still has a home to go to.
Hold on, let's go. Have a home to go to. So I'm going down your road. I'm just following your road. You just said because what the parents are, that's what the people are going to be, the child, right? So I'll go back to it again. How do we find out who your parents are?
Oh my God.
How do we find out if your parents are citizens? Hold up. Because I keep asking the same question.
And I keep
how do we find out your parents are citizens?
It's going to be a different answer.
How do we find out your parents are citizens?
They don't have ID cards. They don't have a passport. How did they get here? illegally, that means they need to go
How
back.
we find out if your parent are prove your mom is a citizen?
I can pull up her birth certificate.
Your
Vital
birth certificate only says where you born at. It don't say if you a citizen. It don't
I
say.
think you guys are having a disconnect. It
Your
tells
birth
you
certificate does not tell you if you a citizen or not. It only says
what
where
other.
you're born at, brother.
Listen. You got a birth certificate right there.
Yes.
What information does it say beside for location of the birth, time of the birth, weight of the baby, and everything else? What are the other two factors on that birth certificate if it's not asking the mother's location and where they were born and the father's identity and where he was born? Isn't that also on the document?
Yes. So let's talk about my document. I'm not there. My document for my daughter would say mother born in Dominican Republic, father unknown, or father whomever she want to say he it is, because that's what they do. Because
So
you
then
don't, or you can put
Dominican
whomever you want
Republic
down on the
citizen.
birth certificate.
So she's a Dominican Republic citizen.
So
Right.
now she's a citizen of another country. And what happens when she
listen, she has dual citizenship, as you know your child does.
now we're talking about now, but you saying if the law changed. Let's bring up somebody. Let's
Oh my God.
let's bring up somebody. We can go
Help me make him understand this,
open the
please.
chat. Let's open the chat.
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna put up the shared. Yeah. Okay.
One at a time. We only bring it up one at a time. State your case. And I was like, man, there's a line right here. And I was like, man, who got me come up and kiss me? I was like, man, I'm looking back. That messed me up for a minute, man. That coming right. Where is that at? Right there.
We're only gonna bring you to the stage one at a time. So don't get impatient while you're in the back. And if you're in your room, lock that to the top. Pin that to your top so that I'm gonna end the poll. And I had a poll running, by the way, while this was going on. And my poll simply said, should the 14th Amendment be put back to the original intent? 78% of the people in my room said yes. 22% said no.
All right. How do we find? Hold up, because here's the thing. I'm going to answer this question. Ask Fearless, how do we find out if illegals are illegal? How do we prove non-citizens, but we deport based on non-citizenship? What happens is the reason you can say you are, hold up, the reason you can say you are a citizen is you produce a birth certificate. That's it.
What?
That's all you have to do.
I just said this.
No. My daughter can produce a birth certificate because she's born. You keep messing everything up, brother. You shaking your head to the side because you ain't here. I keep telling you, keep saying, I said, what happens if you're born here? As of now, if you're born in the United States, you are a citizen. That's how you would prove it. That's how people prove that they are citizens. You are born in the United States. You have a birth certificate.
By soil. Listen, that is by soil.
That is correct.
Okay? And that's the way it's been. But if he ratifies this, listen, if he in your whole scenario,
if it's by soil, a Chinese person can come over here and have a kid.
And that's happened. I'm not saying it hasn't. Why are you distorting from what I'm about to say?
I'm not. You saying you're going to change the law. And I said, how you going to change that?
I did not say he was going to change the law. I said he's putting it back.
All right. Putting it back to what? So what happens if a Chinese person gets off the plane and has a kid here?
Then that child and that Chinese person go back to China.
In what time span?
As soon as the baby is healthy enough to travel.
So they have a kid and they're here for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. But the kid is born here. At what point did they go back?
Who?
The kid.
The kid doesn't have to go back because they're a United States citizen.
Oh,
it's the mother that has to
man.
go back.
You are contradicting yourself. You just said if a Chinese You just said if a Chinese person comes over here and have a kid, the kid got to go back because they're not a citizen. And I said when? Hold up. I said, and I'm going to repeat exactly what you said. I said when? You said at birth. I said, so what happens if it's not at birth? What happens if they're here 5 years, 10 years? Didn't you just change and say they citizens?
Are you done? Are you done?
Yes.
What I said was,
Anybody coming up in the background?
yes, Rico's there. Hold on one second, Rico. I'll bring you up. What I said was, and I've always said this the whole life, the child, because of born on soil, is an American citizen. I also said that that does not guarantee the parent citizenship or give them citizenship because the child was born here. Okay. So that means the parent has two options, but because of humanitarianism, they made it an anchor baby choice where they said the parent can stay. But if the law was to go back, the child would still be an American citizen, but because the mother is Chinese, they both need to go back. And the child, once they're of age and can travel, is always going to be a U.S. citizen. That's what I've always said the whole fucking time.
So the child's always going to be a U.S. citizen.
Yes.
Then,
But that doesn't make the mother a citizen.
It never made the mom a citizen, man.
But they're
It
staying.
never made
because
the
of
mom a
it.
citizen.
Rico, do you understand what I'm saying, bro?
I don't.
I cannot believe this. And I understand what you're saying. So, as Ronin has correctly stated, the law, anyone born in America,
Correct.
his interpretation.
Yes.
They're trying to reinterpret the 14th Amendment to its original intent. Let me be clear, the original intent of the 14th Amendment wasn't for the children of slaves, it was for newly freed slaves themselves, which included children. So basically, after the Civil War, because what they would have done if they did not give us citizenship, you would have had stateless people in America.
Exactly.
Believe it or not, that's exactly what happened in the Dominican Republic. They just did this experiment and they only made it worse by making their law retroactive, because up until 2013, where their Supreme Court changed their law because they had a form of birthright citizenship with all those people of Haitian descent. And the problem with it, by them making it retroactive, now you got people in the DR who are neither citizens of the Dominican Republic
Or
nor
Haiti.
citizens of Haiti.
Exactly.
So in effect, and there's a couple of other countries around the world that did that. You create a stateless group of people with no document of no nation. So I definitely don't recommend that. But I think going forward, what they're going to try to say is, if they reinterpret it back to the original intent, and we got to remember, these were Reconstruction amendments for the reconstruction of the country after the Civil War. That was the whole purpose of it. The 14th, 15th, 16th Amendment was specifically, all of these were slavery amendments, bringing the country back together, the North and the South, where they wanted to maintain slaves. And we said, okay, now that we have these people that you guys have to make free, you can't keep them on plantations. We have to bring them into the American society and give them full citizenship. Because other than that, they weren't citizens of wherever the lands they got stolen from, and we couldn't send them back and have those countries confer citizenship on them, so they would have been stateless. So this was what the original intent was. Somehow or another, because of the ambiguousness of the language, it didn't say only for slaves. That's how it got co-opted to and being inclusive of everyone the way that it was written. And I based on the text, like you said, Fearless, it could be read either way, but the intent, I lean with what Ronin said, the intent was for newly freed slaves that were considered part of America. So now you codified and everybody in America now, with the exception of Native Americans. That's why I posed that question, because they still weren't citizens. So it was inclusive, but still exclusive.
Exactly.
So because they never intended it for Native Americans, it was written with the intent for newly freed slaves only.
So let's say that's the intent. I'm with you on that.
So
now let's fast forward to today.
Right. So today, if they change it, then what will happen, and it occurs in a lot of other countries, you are conferred the citizenship of your parents, no matter where you're born. So if you're, for example, John McCain ran for president. He wasn't born in the US, he was born in Panama. But his parents were foreign service you know, and Panama, the canal it was owned by the U.S., but it wasn't a U.S. property. It was still Panamanian property. Foreign service, I don't even know if I'm saying it right, State Department.
You're saying it right.
When you have kids and even service members.
Mhm.
I got grandkids that were born in Japan on base. They were conferred American citizenship.
I'm in agreement with everything you just said.
right,
My
so-
question is,
Mhm.
you said that the children are the
So here's the
citizens
deal.
of the, hold up. Let me
Okay.
ask you. You said the children
Mhm.
are the citizens of the parents. I got two questions. One,
Yes.
two parents from two different nationalities.
Mhm.
What are they? Second is, how do you prove what your parents are? That your parents are citizens. You adopted. Your parents died. You
Okay.
did. Your birth certificate does not say if you are a citizen.
No, it doesn't.
It only says where you were born at.
Correct. That is not
And it doesn't. And here's the thing,
Mhm.
that doesn't really even mean anything, because if I was born in the Dominican Republic and my
Mhm.
wife was born in the Dominican Republic, we came here and we became citizens.
Mhm.
Her birth certificate on there would say born Dominican Republic. My birth certificate would say born Dominican Republic.
Right.
Our child born in the United States.
Mhm.
How did I just prove I'm a citizen? I didn't.
Because if you became citizens, you had to go through a naturalization process. And once you go through a naturalization process, it confers citizenship to you. So now any
wait,
children
how does
born-
it confirm that? Meaning, hold up. How does it confirm it? Not through a birth certificate.
You have if you become a naturalized citizen, you have a naturalization document.
Let's say everything
Yes.
you said. Let's say everything you said was just true.
Yeah, that is true.
I'm a 5-year-old child. My mother and them born. How do I prove that I'm a citizen?
That's not my problem. I'm just
See,
saying
there you
that
now
proof-
becomes up to
right. What I'm
interpretation.
saying is proof exists. But here's a bigger question I want to ask you. You keep asking, how do we prove citizenship? I also ask, well, we're deporting 1 million people a year. How do we prove that we clearly somehow
We prove it by
deport
this. I'll tell you exactly.
and say
This
you're
is exactly how we
Mexican,
prove it.
Let him finish the question.
you're
first.
Mexican, you're Venezuelan, you're Chinese, and we deport them.
Mm-mm.
What document do we have to put their ass out? But we clearly do.
No, because all you have to do is produce a birth certificate.
No.
Yes,
We talking about
hold up. You can't deport me if I produce my birth certificate.
Excuse me, but we're deporting people who don't produce a birth certificate at all.
Because they wouldn't be
Because
citizens.
we don't rely on that. You already said we don't rely.
No, because you're not a citizen. If I can
Why?
produce my
Because
birth
you
certificate,
don't have a birth certificate.
correct. If I can produce my birth certificate, then it
So
shows that
you're
I'm a
telling
citizen of the
me
United
you
States.
can prove so a person is disqualified from being a citizen because they're not in possession of a birth certificate.
Not necessarily, but we have deported people because we
And
figure
it doesn't
we
mean they
didn't
weren't
prove that
citizens.
they
We
were.
have deported citizens.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And there's
You do
hold up,
know
Rico. This is
in
where
the
the slippery slope
1950s
goes down, and this is what I'm talking about. Because
In the-
now it's up to the United States to say, "Hey, you're a citizen," and they prove it. When you
But
say,
fearless, we've deported citizens knowing they're citizens. Like in the 1950s, I forget what president was, where he deported all the Mexicans. They had that big Mexican purge in California. So those problems will always exist. But I think what Trump,
and you think that's okay? You think it's okay
I'm
to
not necessarily saying that I think it's okay. I'm just saying I think it's okay for us to redefine birthright citizenship back to its original intent.
Hold on, brother. And here's what I want to say to you. I want to
Okay.
go on this because I know how profiling goes.
Mhm.
We profile some Mexicans and say, "Hey, you don't look like it." Now,
Mhm.
as a black person, I can tell you are not African.
Mhm.
White people are like, "Oh, shit, he could be Caribbean.
Right.
Shit, they all look alike to me."
Mhm.
That's when that profiling starts. And now they
Sure.
just start shipping everybody out to wherever because I think you are something.
But I'm not talking.
How
But
we
see,
stop that?
you mixing up. I'm not talking about deportation. I'm talking about redefining birthright citizenship going forward because we're only talking about changing the law, not what it is now. So if they get to change it, what that will mean then is that if you are born to a non-U.S. citizen, if neither of your parents are U.S. citizens, you will not be a U.S. citizen,
How do
even if you're
How
born
do
here.
you prove your mama is a U.S. citizen?
Listen, let me say
Again,
this real quick.
No, I'm just
Wait,
saying
wait,
in general. How
let
do
me
you
say this
prove
real
your
quick.
mama's
Let me
not
say
a
this
U.S.
real quick.
citizen?
And I said this real quick. In every country you go to, what do you have to have as proof that you're an American citizen? The passport.
Yeah,
Just make everybody have fucking passports.
Yeah.
T-Mac just
we
said
could,
it.
we could, we
Because
could
what do
do
you
the
have to
same.
produce in order to get a passport? A
But
birth
Ronan, we could do,
certificate,
we
you
could
were
do
born.
the same thing like they do in the DR. You can do a national ID. I think the DR does it. Haiti does it. A lot of
I mean,
times,
United States
all
is
Latin
doing it.
America.
All
They
driver's
do.
licenses are not legal now. So now you have to have a national ID of some type of
Yeah.
form because
Hold up,
they're
hold
not
up.
taking state licenses anymore.
Let me tell you this, man. When I went to go get when I was 16, man, look, give me a second. Give me a god damn it a second. I
You
know I
look
got
like you jumped from 10 to 20. I don't think you
Yeah.
ever was 16. But I'm saying we could do a national ID which would prove citizenship and so on and so forth. I think you're being a stickler for the details
He
rather
really
than
is.
overarching
I got every
idea.
ID that I've ever had.
But fearless, we're not debating.
Oh, let me see if I got to cover up my
We're-
name.
He keeps
we're-
going
You see,
past.
let me make sure I got my
He
name.
keeps going back
We had
past the
hair back then.
Yeah, I had hair. This is my moped driver's license. My moped. You see how young I was?
But what we're saying is,
And you
the
know what I
o-
needed to get that?
But listen, the overarching idea is let's stay here just for a second. Is simply saying that, like I said, in most countries, citizenship is conferred through the parents. If you're born, so if you're Mexican and both parents are Mexican and you're born in the U.S., you would be Mexican. If one was U.S. citizen and one was Mexican, you would have U.S. and Mexican citizenship. However, if so that's basically the way it is that you would get they're saying we need to change it back, and I forgot what the term is. It's not of the soul, it's of the blood. I don't know how to say it in
I don't
Latin.
know how you would, yeah, that would make
Yeah.
it more difficult. I would just say you just need to be either a naturalized citizen or somebody that's already
Exactly. And that's all it would be. The requirement would be that you have to be the child of a naturalized citizen or a U.S. citizen. And if you're a child of either, and I don't even think they're making it be both. Some countries it says,
Hey, Drew, we saw you in the back,
father.
but we're only bringing one person on the panel at a time. If you want to hang out in the back, we can
I'm
bring you
gonna
up.
drop down in a second. I just
No, but I
wanted to come
still
up
got
and
to
say-
ask you. That don't mean that does not mean anything. And somebody said a real ID. Real ID, all you got to show with a real ID is just your ID and your address. That's what you're showing. You just show that you got proof that that's your residency.
No, I think real ID, you have to show citizenship documents.
No, I'm looking at right now.
In
Real
Maryland,
ID,
you
you
do.
must provide to the DMV in person with documents proving your identification, lawful status, birth certificate.
No, lawful status. Okay.
And they're saying as a
Lawful
birth
status,
certificate.
I think it's citizenship.
No,
Yes.
but
That's citizenship.
you can't show your citizenship, man. How can you? My sister
yes,
just
you can.
me
No,
and my
I'ma
sister
tell you.
just went to San Francisco. She don't have a passport.
I don't think he cares what he
is a birth certificate.
No.
Right, but listen, Scott, let me say this real quick, Rico.
Mhm.
What we have established is the United States is by soil, correct?
Yes.
So if the birth certificate said by location you were born in Arizona, what does that make you?
Citizen.
Thank you. And go ahead with your statement.
There is a citizenship document. I'll tell you, that's not a passport. It's called a U.S. Social Security card.
Mhm.
And non-citizens get Social Security numbers.
Yes, they do.
But
CNN number.
it is not the same. They do not get the same type. Every U.S. citizen is assigned a Social Security number. That is what you use to get your passport. You have to have that document. That proves citizenship because it's at birth, and at some point in some time, I guess when you're born, they determine whether you're a citizen or not. And they assign you a citizen Social Security number or a non-citizen. Now, of course, pretty much everyone that's born here, but
And that's incorrect.
immigrants that come into
That's
certain
incorrect.
states, they'll issue a Social Security number, like kids under DACA. They get a Social Security number so they can work, but it's not the same type of Social Security number that the rest of us have.
It is.
It's
It is
different.
the same. All it does is say on there is not
Non-citizen. It's
no,
something
it
to
don't-
do.
it says not it says something like not permitted for work or something like that.
No, but
The ones
DACA's
we get.
permitted to work. It is some sort of deviation to make clear to them that you don't have citizenship.
And somebody just said, what do you show to get your passport? I'll show
Social
right
Security
here.
card, Social Security card, and
Birth certificate, a valid ID. That's what
No,
you show.
Social Security card in the photo.
We just established the birth certificate.
You don't
If
have
it's-
to. It just says proof of citizenship
Oh
is
my
your birth
God.
certificate. That's
And
what
we
I'm
just
looking at.
established the birth certificate says
Makes
what?
sense.
Where you were born, your location.
Right.
And if you're born by soil and the location is said Arizona, California, whatever, that by default, born of soil means
what I
you are an American citizen.
Puerto Rico, Guam.
I'm
you're a
understanding.
citizen.
Look, guys, I'm with you on this. I'm understanding as of right now, if you were born in the United States, you are a citizen. That's why. That's why if I go to get my passport, I show them my birth certificate, because I show my birth certificate because my birth certificate proves that I am a United States citizen because I was born here.
Correct.
We all in agreement with that, right?
Yes.
Now, when we get rid of that, what proves I'm a citizen? Because my birth certificate no
Who
longer
said we're
proves-
getting rid of it?
and maybe I'm wrong. I was
No.
under the assumption that when we got rid of this birthright citizenship,
Mhm.
that took away, if you're born in the United States, that automatically makes you a citizen.
It does. It doesn't mean exclusively.
So
Yes,
am I
if you-
incorrect? Maybe
No.
what I'm arguing is wrong, and maybe that's why
Right.
me and Ronin are not saying it.
Right,
I
you're-
was under the impression that when Trump got rid of this,
Mhm.
what that meant was you can be born in the United States and not be a citizen.
And that is what he's saying. It's
Okay.
it's
Let me
creating.
clarify
it's
why.
creating
Hold up. So now let's go back.
No,
How do I
stop.
prove I'm a citizen?
Stop. Let me clarify that point before you go to the next question.
Okay.
Now, what you asked was if you were born here, that does not necessarily make you a citizen, right? And why would that be? Because your parents are immigrants and have not become citizens themselves. Because on the birth certificate, and T-Mac makes a good point, on the long form birth certificate, it asks the ID of the mother and the father and where they were born.
Which means nothing. That means absolutely
That's
nothing.
what country you were born in on the long form birth certificate. What do you mean
Ronin,
that means
it means nothing because my wife was born in DR and I can be born in DR and I can have a child born in the United States and the child is a United States citizen.
Because
It doesn't matter where the parents are born. Why can't you understand that? It doesn't matter where the parents are born, it makes you a citizen.
You're conflating and confusing the
No, I'm
difference.
not. How do you prove you a citizen?
Right.
What I
Well,
asked you,
were
you
born
said is
here
where you
by
hold up.
soil.
I said, how do
You're
you
on
prove you a citizen?
soil. You're on soil. How many times do I have to say? If you're
Hold
born
up,
here
hold
by
up.
soil,
I
you're
would
a citizen.
assume, Phyllis, I would assume that going forward, if they change the law, they would possibly even modify the long form birth certificate to place citizenship on there. So then you would know from that same document, you would just modify it going forward and say birth certificates as of this date and so forth. Because I think like right now, sometimes somebody said like birth certificates. Now, do they still put the race on it? I'm like, they used to put it on there.
No, it changed in the
So they
1970s.
discontinue, but you see how they modify the forms and update them throughout time for various reasons. And obviously, if we ever go to from soil, we would have to modify the document to reflect citizenship of parents and so on and so forth. That would
So then
matter.
what we would say is if you
Wait. I'm going to flash this real quick just so you know I'm not lying. That's a real birth certificate.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
That's
on that
mine.
birth certificate,
Wait. No, what it says is my mother's maiden name, her age, and her birthplace, meaning state, territory, or foreign country.
Mhm.
On the long form, when it asks what state, territory, or foreign country that person was born into. So before this is official with the vital statistics, that has to be filled out.
Mhm.
what does that mean, Ronin?
Okay, then that's
Hold
just
up.
not
I'm gonna ask the same question again. If your mom was born in the Philippines and your daddy was born in Cuba, what did that just mean? That means you're not a citizen?
No, that just means you have dual citizenship capability.
I see what you say. I see what you're saying. It could mean that they were born there. They've since been naturalized. It could mean a lot of things.
The birth certificate does not tell you if you're a citizen. Hold on, let me rephrase this. The reason the birth certificate tells you you are a citizen because of right now, If you are born in the United States, you are a citizen. What
Mhm.
I'm trying to say is, if you
Hey,
take that
Drew.
away, then the
Come on,
birth
big brain.
certificate means nothing, because being born in the United States does not make you a citizen.
That's
Your
not what the
pa-
law
and
is
hold
going
up.
to change.
I don't know what the law is going to change to. And your parents do not make you a citizen, because your parents can be born anywhere.
Currently.
Yes.
Currently.
So I'm saying, if we change the law,
Mhm.
how do you enforce it? Because you can't say it's where your parents are born. It can't say where you was born.
But that would be the law. What you're not saying, you're asking how do we find out? But the law still would be
Somebody, but
law
man,
would
the
be
reason, hold on, let me address.
that you
The
would
reason,
confer
but that your
the citizenship
passport
of your
proves
parents.
you are a citizen is because you had to show a birth certificate when you got your passport.
Right. You're
And the
talking about
reason you showed a birth certificate because your birth certificate proved you was born in the United States.
But
And when you
listen,
were born in the
But
United
you
States,
just
that
said
made
it
you a
doesn't.
citizen.
but you're
God
making
damn, man, y'all gotta be smarter than
you're
this.
making a distinction between what would be the law and
Yes,
how do you prove the law.
that is correct.
The law would be you would still have the citizenship of the parents. Now, how do you prove it is a separate thing. So then they would have to do things so that you could clearly prove you are a citizen or not. And like you said, if you can't produce a document to show that your parent, one or both, was citizens at the time of your birth, then you're not.
Okay, so what happens when you adopt it?
Once again, it'll be incumbent on you to
You
be
don't know who
able
your
to.
parents are, brother. How many people have been adopted
Well,
and they have
here's the
and
thing.
they
No,
don't
no,
know
no,
who
no,
their
no.
parents
Here's the
are?
deal. Here's the deal. And I'm glad you brought up adoption.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you adopt a child, that child gains the citizenship of their adopted parents. So if I was to go to the DR and adopt a child and legally and lawfully adopt that child gets conferred the same rights as all birth children of me automatically. So people adopt from overseas all the time, and those children become. Now, what I think they have to do with adopted kids is, even when if they're above a certain age, I think you still have to go through a naturalization process from them. But that child is legally and lawfully your child, because there has been some cases of adopted kids, I think like from Korea and places, and grew up here, and they never finished up the paperwork, got in trouble, did something wrong, and then got their ass deported.
What if
And,
you
you know,
never
after 20,
adopted?
30 years, didn't find out they didn't get, parents just didn't finish the paperwork.
What if you never? But those people. But the thing is, those kids was never born here.
Right. They were
was never-
adopted. I was speaking to adopted, like you said.
What happens if you never get adopted? You in
What
a
do you
group
mean?
home. Like,
Huh?
I know people that never got adopted and they just stayed in a group home. For
In the US?
Yeah.
They're US. But we're talking about citizenship.
Well,
right?
what I'm saying, you born,
Okay.
you not adopted.
Okay.
You know, you get dropped off at the fire station.
Right.
You're not adopted. You just staying in the group home. What are you?
Well, first of all,
Said the group home.
at some point early in the process, they're going to have to figure out whether or not, if you grew up the entire time in a group home and they don't know who the hell your parents are, I'm pretty sure by then they've just assumed you a US citizen, and because at that point they can't prove you're not.
But see, now I'm
Glad
glad you're
it's
saying that.
always
What
messy.
I'm saying is, do you see
It's
how
always messy.
ambiguous this can be?
Yes, it's ambiguous now, but we still have the law. It's always messy, but the law still can be put in place to say, written, you must be a born child or a naturalized child of naturalized US citizens or US citizens. They wouldn't even call you birthright anymore. They would just say US citizens. And again, like I said, when they did the 14th Amendment, they conferred citizenship to newly freed slaves. So that means naturally every child and generation thereafter has citizenship, because they gave it to the first generation and that's all they had to do. And everybody that was born thereafter would have the same thing.
And I want to make this distinction. I just heard this maybe 2 weeks ago. There is a difference, because what this person was talking about was who can get deported. A person born here cannot get deported. A naturalized citizen can get deported.
Yes.
because there's certain rules that they need to follow.
Right.
Like
Correct.
if you were born in France
Mhm.
and you were, and because it's something like you have to be in the United States for so many years, it's some
Exactly.
law, it's number of years or something. And because there was a gentleman who was born out of the country
Mhm.
and he didn't satisfy the years that he needed to be here.
Be there
And
and
he wanted
above
to
a
become a
certain
citizen.
age and
Correct.
things like that. And you know the difference is one
Yes.
is
So just to let you know, natural is different than born here.
because one is called constitutional citizenship, which is birthright,
Yep.
and the
Yep.
other is called
The naturalization.
congressional citizenship.
Correct. Correct.
Naturalized was by Congress.
Mhm.
Congress created the INS, Immigration and Immigration and Naturalization Act. It was an act that was created to give citizenship. The Constitution gave people that were born here citizenship. So that can't be removed. The other can. So you can kill a motherfucker, whatever. They can't deport you. They can lock you up, and then they got to let you stay here. But the congressional one, you can do certain things, treasonous, traitorous, so on and so forth. And you can lose your citizenship. And you can lose your citizenship by even in either way by doing certain things like renouncing your citizenship, joining a foreign military. So if you want to take your ass over there and join the Foreign Legion, you can. So you gotta be careful. But for the most part, I don't know why this is so hard. Do you know,
Me
Ronin?
neither. No, I don't. I'm confused.
It just
Concept is not that difficult.
yeah. I for the long.
Where
I'm
did he
gonna
go?
tell
Oh,
you
wait a minute. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Why did you get kicked out?
Oh,
What happened?
man, I got Spectrum, and it's been acting up all day.
I
And this
think
is,
that
you
was
know
the
why it's
internet
so
god.
difficult?
I think that was the internet gods.
It's so difficult because of this. When you leave the police or someone like that up to try to interpret the law and
That's
prove
why
what
they're
you are,
not.
that's when they just swoop everybody up. And they
Yeah.
say, we don't think you are, we don't think you are. And it becomes, we just don't think by the way you look, by the way you sound, by the way you talk. And then no matter what you produce, doesn't mean anything. You can't, and it becomes, no, you got to prove to us. See, usually the burden is on the United States to prove you wrong. But now if they change it, it's going to be up to you to prove who you are. And that becomes the problem.
So you're basically saying this is going to open up
Pandora's box. Yes.
profiling for everybody.
Oh, yes.
But do law enforcement officers have the right to presume that you're not a legal citizen, or is that the job of ICE? Let's get into who's administering this.
It doesn't matter. That's what they do. What do you mean? You can be 100 miles. How many
You can't
miles?
be stopped and just say, "Oh, we think you're a foreign national," so we
Brother,
stop
you
you.
can be how many miles? You know how many
Yeah.
miles you can be in the United States and still get stopped by the Border Patrol?
But see, here's the thing though, Fearless. What you're describing this apocalyptic scenario that's going to occur. And the reason why I have to push back on it, because all these other countries that have, citizenship by birthright, they're not having any apocalyptic. Like I said, I'll go back to your wife's country, the most recent country we know that reverted from this form to the other form. Now, was it apocalyptic for a while? Yeah, absolutely. And I think more so the bigger issue they had was they made theirs go retroactive 80 years instead of just saying effective today, 2013, when we changed the Supreme Court, we're no longer having it. That wasn't good enough for them. They took and made it go all the way back. So it was a very bad time with them. After so many years, they gave Haitians an opportunity to get their documents. Like, get their documents from fucking where? They've been in the DR all their life. They can't go to Haiti. And there is no documents there. They weren't born there. They never lived there. Half of them only speak Spanish and so on and so forth. So they put them in a hopeless situation. So their situation turned out to be as bad as it did by the way they implemented the change in the law. I'm hoping that no, do not make it retroactive. Change it, make it effective going forward. because it still will be messy. I agree with you, but it would be a lot less messy rather than saying, oh, we're going to make this retroactive back to the last 100 years. I'm like, now you're talking about stripping citizenship away from people that you already gave it. I don't want to see that. Now you can say, okay, we're not having no more anchor babies and so on and so forth. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But the ones that already got it, it absolutely would be a
But
disaster.
you know what this stops? This
Take it away.
stops. The reason this stops a lot of stuff. I know there ain't gonna be no more midwives. You can't have no kid at home. Ain't none of that. How you gonna do that? That means that means the government really is involved in everything you do.
But there's some positive. You know, there was a whole pregnancy tourism industry that exists.
There still is. There still is.
Yeah. Even on the West Coast, China is flooding us with pregnant women that they send over here to have babies.
Exactly.
It's a huge that'll stop.
Russia, European nations, all of them are flying over here to have babies.
Africa, everywhere. And the hopes is I have that anchor baby, they get to a certain age, and then they'll take and sponsor me.
What you talking about strictly? He said light-skinned black people who looks Hispanic will be
yeah. But that's what I'm sitting there saying is it would put us more in a line with more countries. Because it shocked me when I found out like Haiti doesn't have birthright citizenship. I'm like, are you serious? They have it in their constitution. Matter of fact, they have in their constitution. They have a lot of weird, wild shit in their constitution. So a lot, and I'm not picking on Haiti or the DR. Those are just the two countries I'm most familiar about with their citizenship law, because I actually learned more about Haiti after reading about what the Supreme Court decision in the Dominican Republic did. So going deep diving into that and seeing what they did, that's how I trickled over to that. And then all these other countries, and I'm like, a lot of them don't have it. And a lot of them have very big restrictions about who gets to be a citizen in their country.
Mm-hmm. And so some of them, it doesn't matter if you're born there or not. When it comes like Dubai and stuff like that, it doesn't matter.
It don't matter. Care. You're not a citizen. So I'm like, well, goddamn, I can't argue it anymore.
So this map is showing who has a birthright citizen and who doesn't believe in it. And then all the gray area on the map is their stipulations to either by soil or by blood. It's a combination thereof.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So all the green, it looked like all the Americas agree on birthright citizenship. Okay. And that's
because we had to change the law. All of those people are because they got discovered by discover would be a wrong word. They got colonized by all of the countries that's
the ones in which
red.
What is the red?
Like say for instance, the ones in red in Europe
are by blood, and the ones in green are by soil, and then the gray ones are by a combination of at least one parent has to have blood, or you can be naturalized in it, or you can live there for a certain amount of years and then become. So there's all stipulations on the ones in gray.
Right.
Okay.
So the other ones, you know, they was conquest.
The whole European Union, where we're birthright citizenship, the whole European Union can come over here and get dual citizenship as Americans and their European nation because they don't believe in it. But yet and still, we go over to their country, we can have a baby and have it English and American, or Spanish and American, or Portuguese and American, or whatever. Right. I mean, how's that? That's not even right.
Yeah. It's wild.
These are the countries that we broke away from to become the United States. They have more rights coming into our country than we do in theirs.
No, they don't have more rights. We have more rights.
But what I'm saying is they can come in here and they have those freedoms. We can't go to their countries and say certain things and we don't become a part of their country.
But I also understand how we got into this dilemma too. Yeah. Because we got to realize America is one of the youngest countries that currently, we're not the youngest, but we're one of the youngest countries. And did he get Spectrum got his ass again?
Yeah.
So
yes,
a good thing about that, one of the bad parts of being so young, 250 years was, believe it or not, America's was built by, basically in the beginning, we were begging for people to come here. So we were a nation of, we were begging for people. When we were building the country, you know what I'm saying? I mean, of course, we were begging from all from Europe, but in the beginning, America was looked
Give
at.
us your poor, your humble,
Yeah,
your
America
massive.
was deemed when America was founded, we were the shithole of Europe. Europe looked at us like a shithole. They just did.
They
They
need
looked
to.
at Australia
They
the
need to
same
come in here
way.
and shake his ass awake a little bit.
Yeah.
ICE needs to come and get fearless.
They really looked at us that way. And then, we became the shining star probably after World War II, really. Because even at World War I, we were on par with Europe, starting to get on par with Europe. But after World War II, we dropped our nuts. And then at that point, America really made its mark on the world. But prior to that, up through World War I, America with the Great Depression, we were begging for motherfuckers to come here.
Well,
Right.
that was one of the issues. We couldn't keep begging people to come here, do the work, and say you don't really have a right here. So, like when we had the Chinese people come over to California, and we say, "Hey, we want you to help build these railroads, but we don't want you to be a part of the country." It
Right,
becomes
and
very-
that's where the whole decision
Wong
came
Kim
in.
Art.
Yeah,
Wong.
and my man Art, I got to call him out because he said the exact thing I said. You guys are not understanding the danger of interpreting the Constitution through the lens of intent.
Oh,
That
we
is
absolutely understand
understand
it. Especially, hold up. We're servicemen. We absolutely understand the danger of intent. Even in UCMJ, it's always the intent of what you were doing. That's why you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent.
So my question is this then, what do we do? And we make special laws. What about the small country over in the Middle East where we made laws they could be dual citizens? Because what Ronin was saying is he does not like that people can come here who aren't citizens and they can bash the country. They got freedom of speech. And he says, and you said something to the fact that if you are not what was your word?
If you're not loyal to the country, why are you here? Get the hell out.
If you don't have loyalty, or you going against it. Well, and I say they can say that about black people all day when they say, "Oh, well, if you don't like this country, leave."
Well, I don't stand on that because I know we have disloyal citizens. So what the fuck are you gonna do with them?
Here's the thing.
You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Let me say there's a distinction.
Okay.
I didn't say American citizens don't have the right to speak up about what their government is doing and do not do. Okay. What's going on is immigrants are coming over here saying how much better that Black Americans could do if we overthrew our government and da 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 da. This is some of the things that are going on in these FBA / African conversations where they're coming over saying, and you'll find this out even talking to your Frank Zanu, which we're trying to get hooked up with. He has that belief, and he's from Benin of all countries. Education low as hell, all this other stuff that's going on in your country, but you're coming over talking about what Black Americans don't have culture and all these other things. Yo, focus on your country first. Don't come over here trying to correct our culture, our anything until you can re-secure what's going on in your nation. But what comes over is, yes, there is freedom of speech, but that should not apply to everybody because we don't have freedom of speech in all the countries we go to. We can't speak on politics and other things in other countries. Why? Because we do have freedom of speech. So does some of these other countries. You can say whatever the hell you want in the Philippines. But if you're a foreigner, you can't speak against the government.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So there's limitations even in freedom of speech is what I'm saying. But for some reason, we turn a blind eye to the fact that they're an immigrant or this, that, and the other, and allow them to say whatever because they have that right. To a point, they have that right. You still need to show some kind of loyalty and appreciation for being in this country without speaking against his laws or whatever.
But see, to me, it's a little weird. I don't know if loyalty is the right word for it, but I do know in a lot of countries, you can't say shit out of pocket. Like in Thailand, you can't say nothing about the king. You can't step on money. I think our issue around freedom of speech in America is we got too fucking much of it. We just got too much of it.
Whoa. Now, Felix is going to get you for that one.
Everybody. What I'm saying is, but I'm not caveating it between.
You got the voice police.
I'm not caveating it between citizens and non-citizens. I think we just have too much freedom of speech where we just say all kinds of shit, you know, even U.S. citizens. And the only reason why I say it is, I in one breath, because I don't think we're responsible with our speech. We as Americans, we are proudly fucking irresponsible with our speech. We want the freedom to say whatever the fuck we want and not be held responsible for nothing I said. We want to be able to damn near the president had the freedom of speech to cause a fucking insurrection and not be held responsible for it. That's the level of freedom of speech we have in this country that I find to be troublesome. I shouldn't be able to stir up motherfuckers to do shit like that. And it be perfectly okay. But it is in America. And I think it is for anybody. And I just think in America, we got too many fucking idiots to have that much power. We got too many stupid motherfuckers in this country to have the freedom that man had. Now, he was one particular person, but anybody in America could do that. And if you could rile up people up enough, if you're charismatic enough to be able to rile people up to do that shit, I think the problem is in the power, not the person, because we are a country of fucking fools too.
But
we have some fucking
once
idiots.
you put that line up, who makes that determination?
I don't know. And so that's why I say I don't have the answer. To me, it's just an observation of a problem. I guess I look at it from when I look at, and it's really weird because then it's like, well, what drew me to this conclusion is actually seeing countries that have more repressive rights. And I'm like, well, they got less problems. You know what I'm saying? But they have far more repressive freedom of speech rights, but they don't have insurrections and uprisings and shit like that. And that's a more calming thing as well. Because you want
hit the like
freedom.
button. I know I got a hacker in my room, but hit the like button if you're in the room.
You want your freedoms, but you don't want the chaos and all the shit that comes with it. And in America, I'm scared we're gonna burn this motherfucker down one day. I really am. I'm afraid that it's gonna come from within. It's not gonna come from outside. We keep looking outward. I think it's gonna come from inward. That's what scares the shit out of me.
It always comes from inward.
Yeah. So that's my only diatribe against freedom of speech. It's like we gonna let the motherfucker do it. We gonna watch him burn it down.
Yeah, but
that don't scare you a little bit.
Did you get your question answered yet? Can we move on from this rudimentary question?
As the one lawyer says, and he says, freedom is scary. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the part that comes with freedom that makes it scary. The unknown. And how far people like to push their freedoms.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you have laws, because people overstep what they think their freedoms are. And so you have to implement a law to tell them, hey, you've overstepped. This is a problem. We need to correct it and let everybody else correct it.
But can you see where the Supreme Court will look at this birthright citizenship law?
Mm-hmm.
And I can see where they can go either way. That's the part that gets me, is I see the ambiguousness enough in the written text that they could say it was meant for this or this.
Here's the thing. Let me say this. Intent or not, we're not saying you can't immigrate into the United States.
Mm-hmm.
We're not saying that you can't be citizens of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what this is saying is come in the proper channels, put in your applications, wait your time, stop trying to force yourself in here, and we'll get to you.
Because can you not see the massive amounts of it being, even if the intent was to say anyone born on soil is a citizen, even if you landed at that place, right? And imagine, let's pretend we're 3 of the Supreme Court justices. Even if I say I want to uphold that, I know the intent. That might have meant, well, if you were here lawfully and had a child here, because I think if you were here for work and you had a child here, that child should be a citizen. It's the illegals. Unfortunately, I hate using the term anchor babies. It's the millions of anchor babies that makes it problematic, because these were people who are coming here specifically illegally to have a child.
But my question
That's
then
what
is,
puts the wrinkle in it. But lots of people come here, and whether people come here for school, get pregnant, have a kid. You know what I'm saying? They're not here lawfully. Millions of people come into America lawfully, this, that, whatever, and lives. That seems like, yeah, well, while you were here for school, you had a kid, you were here for work, you had a kid, that kid should be an American citizen. Fine. But that is the vast majority of them coming here isn't necessarily that way, or I'm going to say half of them aren't. And that's the only reason why the conversation exists. If the majority of them were coming through the ways as I described, I don't even think we'd be having this conversation. It would seem like a perfect system.
but do you think that they are having, all right, if a Mexican crossed the border, 2 Mexicans crossed, 1 Mexican, it doesn't matter. Lady crossed the border, has a kid. It doesn't matter that she has a kid and the kid is a United States citizen. She can still get deported.
Sure.
They can, and I've seen it happen where a woman been with a dude for years, and all of her kids, he's the citizen, she's not, and they have kids, and they deported her ass back.
Yeah, they're doing that now.
Yeah.
They're currently doing that today. And they ask you, do you want, they'll be like, fearless, we deporting your ass back to the DR. You want to take your child with you? And you say yes or no. And they'll ask you specifically, do you have a family member that you want us to leave him here with? Or they going to CPS?
Let me put it this way. 7 years ago, when I played that first news article, and they were just talking about through Axios to President Trump about doing this when he was the president then, and the hypothetical of what that means. Has the country gotten better or worse by allowing more and more immigrants to come in here in that 7 years? And what do we do to prevent it? Yeah. So what do we do to prevent that? What do we need to do to lock that down? You need to start tightening up on the liberal ways that we allow people to come in here.
Oh, wait, hold on. So I need definitions.
Definitions. You say y'all on this, and I ask you to be specific, and you don't do it.
No.
So what do you need a definition on?
First, let me give a shout out to T Mac for the $10 cash app, brother. That is great.
Oh, hold on. I'm not checking my cash apps. Hold on. Go ahead.
Second, you just made a statement, so I need you to validate that statement. You said the country got worse, and then you equated that to the immigrants. So I need you to tell me how the immigrants made the country worse.
Okay, first of all, you got the Somalis in Minnesota. You got Venezuelan gangs in Chicago and in New York. You got a whole bunch of shit that's going on because they opened up the floodgates in the last 4 years with Biden and allowing a lot of these immigrants to come through the border in phenomenal numbers, that now cities are overwhelmed and can't support themselves. Now, when Trump started cutting off access to certain benefits, now it's becoming even worse.
So, I mean, I can say the Somalis, but I don't know where.
You don't know about the Venezuelans?
Yeah, that's
Hey,
still
right
a
there in
small
Chicago,
minority.
isn't that your town?
That's still a small minority of the people who are doing it.
Well, I would say this, and I do want to be clear with this. Even if they change birthright citizenship, poof, it's gone tomorrow. I don't think that's going to necessarily decrease the number of immigrants still trying to come to America.
Correct.
Because obviously they're not coming here just to have a baby. They're having the baby here in hopes that that will anchor them to not leave. They're coming here for better economic opportunity.
Correct.
Period. So whether they have a baby and the baby's a citizen or not, they're gonna keep coming. I know several that done been deported and done been back 3-4
come
times.
back.
Right. Yep.
They're gonna keep coming because they're coming back for better economic opportunities. The
Correct.
birthright citizenship is not necessarily going to decrease the drive for the numbers that want to come in here.
Correct.
We need to do a better way of managing the flow of immigrants into the country. And I think we should have, I mean, I get pissed off because they do this H-1B1 bullshit for IT workers. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but we do need farm workers. We need farm workers. Do a fucking program to let farm workers come in here.
Because I know a lot of farm workers.
And they don't have to do it the illegal way, because
Correct.
that makes the problem worse, I think, because then I think if most of the farm workers knew, okay, we could come in and we can work
leave
in
back.
the US
I know a lot
for
of them.
5-6 months, but
Yep.
I know every year I could get back in. I
Yep.
don't have to pay a fucking coyote
Mhm.
$5,000, $10,000 to sneak me across the border because they're gonna let me in. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that.
Yep.
It would,
You know, they have that in
make it more
California.
manageable.
But
They
I
have
know,
that in
I
California.
know, I know some Mexicans, man. And this guy I met in Kentucky, they was doing the tobacco farms in Kentucky, and they would start, and the reason they call them migrant workers because they would migrate from the
In the
south
country, right back
all the
out.
way up, all the way. Yeah,
Working.
and by the time they got to they do strawberries or something and blackberries up in the north, and they would migrate up.
Chicken picking farms,
Yep.
seafood.
And like I said,
farms.
I lived in California for almost 30-something years. California has this implemented. They have farm workers that come up through Mexico. They work all the farmlands, the grapes, and everything else, and they work their way back. Because I used to sell them insurance.
Yeah.
It was only
And they
temporary
didn't want
insurance
to
when
stay.
they were here and working. No, they wanted to get their money, American money, and
Yep.
go right back across the border.
Exactly.
There wasn't no fucking problems. That's what
Yep.
I'm saying. I know this system works. You know, it's just how do you implement it and implement it properly? Obviously, California figured it out, but nobody wants to take a look at how California is monitoring it and allowing people in and out of the country as migrant workers.
Yeah.
Because
Now,
let me shout out real quick. Well, you did your cash apps. Let me go ahead and shout out my cash apps real quick. Thank you, T Mac, for the $10 super for the cash app. Thank you for your support of the channel and both me and Fearless. Bert Ross, nephew, thank you for the $5 on cash app as well. Thank you. Go ahead.
I was gonna say parts of the problem we know is also big business.
Yep.
Because they kind of like to cheat illegal labor. Because
If you put
one thing
$1,000 fine on everybody who hires an illegal immigrant, and you say, I'm charging you $1,000 per worker. Oh, that'll get rid of it. You don't. You go after the worker and not the people who are employing them.
Per worker per incident, because one time $1,000 fine ain't shit. They'll take that loss.
I'll tell you what was stunned to
normal.
me though was to find out in the US the number of not so much illegal workers, but underage. Minors. So like I think in North Dakota, a lot of these huge meat packing plants. You got 16-year-old kids, they're working around sharp saws and shit. I'm like, you're not even supposed to be, you know, these are things that you would get arrested if you had US citizen kids. They can't work in there. But you got, and I'm like, there's a thing to me when you have a minor and an illegal. That's just telling me that you're trying to exploit. You want cheap labor because you can't outsource that shit to Mexico. If they could send the meat to Mexico for them to do it cheaper, they would do it. They wish they could outsource that shit, but they can't to another country. They can't. You have to do food production here in the States to sell to us. So what they want to do is they want to insource that cheap labor. They want Mexican labor wages to pay in the US because they can't send the goddamn meats and the food to Mexico. They wish they could, but they can't. And I just think that, it's just not enough attention paid to that to do anything about it. But and what we do is we spend all our time 100% demonizing the immigrants as if there's not another side of the coin that yes, we do have a problem with illegal immigration, but there's another side of the coin that what's motivating them to come here for these economic opportunities. There are a lot of these big ag companies that are enticing them. I'm like, I believe they sending messages down in Mexico. If your ass get here, we'll hire you. They're doing it because other than that, why would they break their neck to get all the way up to Nebraska and don't even know if they're gonna have a job. They know they're gonna have a fucking job.
And
They know they're
somebody
gonna
said
have
they got fined, but I'm trying to look because if y'all remember, Hyundai had like 500. They
Mhm.
shipped over their Korean people,
Mhm.
and it was 500 of them, and I don't see that they got fined at all.
Mhm.
I'm
That's
looking
because
on
they
here.
pay for their visas. I mean, if they're bringing over their workers from their country, it's benefiting them. They're making American dollars in Korea. So they pay for those visas to get people
No,
over
but
here.
they were illegal. They were detained. They
See,
were
this
foreign.
this this is I have to I don't know cigar music, so I can't say. This is a common occurrence I hear a lot.
Mhm.
I I agree with it a little bit, but then there's a lot that I don't. Like
Let's go through his whole statement before you answer.
yeah,
He said, no one on the panel has brought up if more and more immigrants come into the U.S., it will change the social fabric of the country. If we allow 100 million Chinese to come in the next 5 years, U.S. will become China, basically. In California, when California opened borders, Mexicans flooded the population and started clashing with the native blacks.
Look,
That's the
I
whole
have to. I'm sorry, and it's going to sound racist, man. I got to agree with him.
race.
And the reason is where I
Uh-huh.
live at, and man, and I've seen some most racist comments. We talked about some houses, and there's some a lot of the people that come from India come into IT, so they get some good paying jobs. So there's a suburb that I live in, and basically this tri area that has two different cities, and there's a lot of Indians. And I'm telling you, when I just drove to the store, they have a whole, not just one, like whole market section, man. I'm talking about markets section. The Indian food, the Pujani,
Punjabi.
Punjabi hair shop, the coffee. I'm talking about for like 3 mile stretch, man. And this is just in one part. It's crazy. And you're talking about they have it's changed. Let's just say that it has changed the people who live here.
Right. And I get that. And that definitely is a thing that happens. But there's a couple of things that always make me kind of pause around, comments like that. Not that I think anything's wrong with it. It just makes me think on it. Is because again, and even what you said, and I listened to you, but I'm like, yeah, there once was some people that said that about us.
No, here's the difference.
But right, but you know where I'm going with that,
Yeah, but
right?
here's the difference. I'm gonna say the difference.
Okay.
We were brought here and then we had to assimilate because we
I
didn't
get
have a
that.
culture to anchor to.
I get
They
that.
bring their culture here.
Right. Yes,
And
that is
and I'm not talking about the Indian people. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna bring up that example. In Toronto, they mad because they are defecating in their lakes.
Canada can't stand them.
Yeah.
Canada has a huge fucking
Oh
problem
yeah,
with
they take in the baths in their lakes.
But
They
this is why I kind of pause, because again, like I said, at once there was a period in American history where people said that about us. And that's with the assimilation. We was assimilated then, and they still said that about us. Okay. And I just haven't forgotten that yet, and don't want to forget that shit. I'm like, at least they'll be saying it again. And then the second part, I asked myself, well, who are we saving this motherfucker for? Who when we think about America, who are we saving it for? I get it that I can say I'm gonna push back against the Chinese, I'm gonna push back against the Indian. I get all that. But then I'm saving it for who? Because I don't think I'm saving it for us. I think I want to make sure I'm not fighting somebody else's fight.
Facts.
I gotta make sure I'm not fighting white tea supremacists fucking fight. Because I've been fighting those motherfuckers all my life. Now, because they have that issue too. then you fight it, motherfucker. I'm not fighting for you.
But all right, then
because here's the thing. If we do the fighting for them, we're not going to get rewarded. We're not going to, and I get it. I get it. And I fight against everything in my spirit because I don't want to see them flood the neighborhoods. But I'm like, at the end of the day, they remind us every goddamn day. They ain't our neighborhoods. They'll gentrify the fuck out of it in a heartbeat tomorrow if they want to. So I ask myself, who am I fighting it for? I just have to ask myself that before, and that's being a military veteran, having a son active duty. That's why I'm a veteran through and through. I'm a patriot, but I'm a very limiting patriot. Because again, I still say I love my country, but my country has got some shit with it.
But here goes the issue.
A bunch of shit with it. But go ahead.
We can flood those people in, but no matter what, we keep saying we African American.
Right.
We can't go to Africa. They don't want us. We can't go nowhere but here.
Yeah, I am absolutely not saying to flood them in. I'm just saying how I look at everything else. Why the fuck? I just wonder, like, why do we need to be the loudest? Because again, I'm like, I think we're gonna do all the fighting and we're gonna get fucked at the end of the day any fucking way. I'm still skeptical of the powers that be behind us. And I'm like, then I'd rather we spend more time building or doing something else rather than fighting their wars, because they're gonna fuck us at the end. And again, maybe if the issue is worried about their culture, okay, get them to assimilate into our fucking culture, into African American culture. I'm not saying I'm just saying you got to put something else on the table. When you come to me with other than, oh, just fight them. I'm like, okay, and we fighting for who and for what? And if we don't do that, what else you got? Well, I ain't got nothing else. Well, why the fuck is that the only choice you got? Why can't we imagine something else? Because these people we've been fighting since we've been in this motherfucker, and they ain't never gave us nothing. We're where we at now when we should be so much further because we've been fighting these motherfuckers. But we fought like a dog to get here, and I don't think we've gotten far enough.
Rico, I want you to come on. I'm trying to get the dude on. I don't know if you know who he is. His name is
yeah, this is an FBA. This is gonna be a big time FBA.
He's not available until like March.
Yeah.
So I really would like you to come on when he's here, because he contradicts everything you just said.
Frank Zanu.
You've heard basically saying,
I heard him. I know who he is.
Yeah, he basically saying that because we don't have a
culture,
not just a culture. We don't have a foundation. We don't have anything to what is our foundation? Because we don't have that, I'll give up one point that he said, and I don't want to get too far into it. He says the reason Nigerians or other people come over and they can do it is because they have like a foundation. They can come over here and really prosper, because in their country, in Africa or wherever, you can't be a comedian and be successful. You can't really be a musician and be successful. The only way that they were taught to be successful was through education. And they come to the United States, they get on the education. And then they look around and say, American blacks don't value education, because none of the people that they look up to are educated. They look up to the rappers, the sports people, the comedians. You don't have someone who is a genius that gets to meet with President Obama. He brings in like the criminals, right? He'll meet with somebody who, was out of jail. So those are the people who we look up to. And as long as you have that element that is the success, we won't be respected. And one thing he said was a French guy invited some people over to his house, and he said, I want you to tell me, what is it that your people built that you use every day? And we as blacks could have nothing to say. When Japanese dude said out of every 3 cars you drive is built by people in my country. We have nothing
That's
that's
built, but it wasn't invented by his people in his country. And we came up with the cotton gin, with the cell phone. We came up with the filament for the electric bulb. We came up with a fucking lot when it comes to America.
Who is we?
The American blacks. I'm talking about black inventors.
Frank Zanu has said
Zanu is delusional as fuck.
I'll be clear.
Let's not. I don't want to get too far off, but I really would like if I can get him on. He said sometime in mid-March. If I can get him on during that time.
He's brilliant about a lot of things, but he's also misguided about a lot of things too.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't expect him. I would expect him to disagree with me. It doesn't mean I agree with he doesn't know as much about American black history as he thinks he does. And it's been several times people have told him things and he flat out said, well, I didn't know that. So I'm like, but you're speaking in depth like you do. So again, I think he's a very intelligent man, very educated, very scholarly on some things, and other things he don't have a fucking clue.
But the reason I bring him up is to say we as the black people here, we the people who are just the lost. We have nothing to come back to.
I don't think we're lost.
And I mean, we don't have a home country. This is our home. We try to identify
this country.
Yeah, we try to identify, oh, I'm African American, I'm this. Well, really, we just American. And the reason I say that is when you say, what are you leaving this to? We don't have nothing else to leave it to.
But in reality, like you said, but that again, that is, this whole thing, and it's frustrated because, like I said, when he sat there, and I heard him when he was talking to the young lady about Haiti, and she was like, the African American has no culture. So I'm like, so what about the African Dominican? What about the Afro Colombian? What about their culture? Is you would not say that about an Afro Brazilian or an Afro Colombian. Why would you? If we don't have any culture, then you're saying they don't have any culture?
He says that too. He said they have no culture.
So, and in essence, what he's coming down to is most people of most nations
don't have no culture. Yeah,
and I agree with that. So that's what I'm saying. So what the fuck is the point? I also agree. I'm like, because when I look at it, I'm like, what is culture?
Yeah.
You make it a big deal that you made an emphasis that we don't have something as if others do. But then when you get down to the nitty gritty of what it is, we have the same thing that everyone else has. We all have something or we all have nothing.
Yeah.
And at the same time, even if you look at this guy, he comes from Benin.
I don't want to jump into him too much.
I'm not jumping into it.
No, I get it because
he's all over the place.
To say no.
We want to bring him on.
Yeah,
and I want to say that conversation to when he comes on.
And I would love to talk. I would love if you guys, if I get an opportunity. But and like I said, I have no smoke for him. But I'm just like, man, you all over the place.
Yeah,
and he's very brilliant. I think he's brilliant, but he's all over the fucking place. I'm like, you
gonna make me say something and it's gonna fuck it all up. I'm gonna just be quiet.
We
ain't talking about. He knows we contradict. I just want to save all those points to when he get on, so we can,
But you know what? And I would love to ask him about birthright citizenship in Benin.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, they're not highlighted.
But the other question I would love to ask him is, does the United States have a culture? Because his definition of culture is language. And the United States doesn't have their own language. We stole the language from England. That's why we speak English.
But we speak so many different languages. Just like we are tribal in the same way that some nations in Africa are very tribal.
Yes.
The United States was built to be a tribal country. That's why they pull people from multiple. They didn't pull everybody from a single country. Mm-hmm. We were never designed to be a homogenous land. No. We were intended to be a nation of many nations. We became.
But the whole thing is, if you think about it, it was diabolical. Listen, it was diabolical the way they picked the slaves they took. They took some that were farmers. They took some that were builders. They took some that knew certain things in order to cultivate and grow the land faster. They pulled from those African nations that knew. So they didn't have to sit there and re-educate them on how to do certain things. They already knew how to do it.
But I'm saying
things grow faster.
And think about it. Even when they took from Europe, they took from various European nations for
Mhm.
different reasons.
Exactly.
America was founded, like you said, eventually, the Irish, but initially it wasn't just the English, it was the Germans, it was the Austrians, it was all these different types. And these were different nations of different people that founded America.
Yeah. The
We
French,
had Frenchmen.
Spanish, the
Yes.
Portuguese,
Yes.
the Dutch.
That was what made America. And all of them came with their own distinct culture at its founding. Now, granted, the people, and we get caught up because the people who wrote the Declaration, okay, that was that core group. But
Yeah.
that was just the people who wrote the Declaration. That
And
was
that's
not the
focused on the
people.
American history, because you had the French that owned Louisiana
Yes.
Purchase, and they had the trail that went up the Mississippi
You
right
had
into
the
Canada.
Spanish that
Then you
owned
had
the West.
trade that was coming in through the ports of Louisiana and
Yes.
then up the river all the way to Canada. And that was already established before the United States was the United States.
And when we went westward, we had to fight the Spanish to get New Mexico and all of that, because that
Right.
was Spanish territory that
Right.
already
But
had
that's not
its
recorded
culture
in American history, because that's not a part of American history.
And in
Those are
addition
other
to that,
historical stories.
there was an existing culture that existed before we ever set fucking foot here, which was all of the native tribes that existed. All of that is American
Let
culture.
me adjust this real quick. There's no really
Hold on,
identified.
don't,
Let me-
because hold up, don't do
No,
it,
let me
Ronin. No,
let me
because what
say-
happens is we're gonna go down a
No.
rabbit hole, and I'm not
No,
trying to
we're
go
not
down
going
this
to go
rabbit
down a
hole.
rabbit hole. We're not going to go down a rabbit hole. All I'm going to say is the only reason we adopted that term of African American was to be inclusive of all the immigrants of different nations from Africa and the Caribbean, so that we felt as we were one at one point. We were trying to unite. So we started saying African American as a title instead of just saying Black American or Negro. So then after we went through that process of saying African American and we saw that there was a lot of disrespect, that's when the delineation and everything else came in.
And I don't know why they seem to think that we've been using that
There's
term
no
for
history
100
behind
years.
African American, right?
It
We
only
just
started
Jackson.
in the 80s.
Yeah.
Prior to
Yes.
that, we were Black
Jesse
or
Jackson.
Negro.
it was a temporary thing. We never considered ourselves that. We tried to be inclusive and it backfired. And that's why when everybody starts talking delineation, all of a sudden we're traitors to our own race. No, we're trying to identify ourselves separate of
And
everybody
you know
else.
what's so crazy about it? If you have a child, if I had a child born today, on his birth certificate, if they did put race, it would say African American. You know what it says on my birth certificate? Negro.
Negro. What does
Okay.
what mine says?
So what the fuck are you talking about? Matter of fact, when they switched the term to African American, I kept identifying as Black. The only time I picked, it took me about 5 years after
Never.
it was introduced, and the only reason why at that point was because I was compelled through job applications and so on and so forth. If it wasn't for government documents, none of us would have identified as that. But you just
I always,
eventually,
you know what, I always ticked off other and defined it myself.
right?
I
But
never would give them the option.
for
of telling
most
me
people, if you fill out a job application, you picked it because you didn't have Black or Negro anymore.
right.
And
That's
it brings
it.
us back to that birthright. This is what makes it so difficult in the United States. And if you were born in Asia, they gonna know if you kind of Asian. You know, there's countries that know you're not here. The problem is in the United States, we are such diverse. That's where the issue comes, where we like to pick and choose. And it's not even the illegal immigrants crossing the border that's the problem. It's the people that overstay their visas. Come on, a student visa, tourist visa, some type of visa like that, HB1, and they just never leave.
But
Or like I said, they use the anchor baby to stay, and instead of being happy that the anchor baby allowed them to stay in the United States and becoming citizens themselves, they stay in their own citizenship the whole period.
But you know, the irony of it is when you speak about that too, in particular, and this is another sore point that I think, which is what drives the conversation around birthright, is because again, you do say you have a Dominican American, a Haitian American, a Jamaican American. Typically, they come into the US, right? Because we're so fucking inclusive, right? And I always say it, I say Every city has a Chinatown, a little Italy, a little fucking Germany, a little Mexico. Every
Koreatown.
city
Yeah,
has
Koreatown too. Yeah.
Koreatown. Every fucking city in New York, they got Puerto Rico Day Parade, Dominican Day Parade, West Indies Day Parade. All this a huge fucking all over America. I have yet to be in the DR to see the American Day Parade. I have yet to see it. They won't even have a Haitian Day Parade, and that's their fucking neighbors. So what I'm saying is all of these countries that these people come from, they are wildly protectionist and xenophobic about outsiders coming into their country, repping their own personal immigrant pride. We all have to go and subdue ourselves, but yet they come and they fly and I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. I have this one thing I say all the time, and I say it to this day, right? I know your lovely wife is Dominican, and that's a beautiful thing. But I always tell my American friends, when you go to the DR, do not ever adopt their culture. Not for 1 second. You respect it. You respect their culture, but you do not fucking adopt it because that is not who you are. I'll tell you this. If I'm in Japan, I could be living in Japan for 10 years. Not near day was I fucking Japanese. I'm a nigga living in Japan. It's just that simple. This concept or belief that, yes, you go to a nation, it's only one thing I have to do in the DR. Only one. I don't have to drink no fucking Presidente. I don't have to dance no fucking bachata. I don't even have to speak Spanish. I must follow the fucking law.
I'm gonna tell you this. You know where you're wrong at?
Where?
I'm gonna tell you where you're wrong.
Where?
You said you don't have to adopt the culture when you're there.
Tell me
about that too until you drive. And if you go there and you drive like an American, you're gonna get ran over, bro.
That's not adopting the culture, though.
I ain't never seen nobody drive the line for so long that I'm like, bro, you ain't gonna choose a lane for 10 miles.
I don't drive here.
Yeah.
I have her father drive my car. I don't drive. There's no fucking way.
Yeah.
You adopt that, man, and you're gonna get ran over.
You have to drive like them there. But when I talk about culture, I mean like,
yes.
And I tell people, I said, because you make a mistake trying too hard to fit in into what's not even natural. And I tell them like this, I said, okay, if you want to, and that's anyway, my wife's out in Latin America. You want to be Latin American? Okay, you want to adopt their culture. So when you go over there, make sure you start beating that bitch. Make sure you start, because I'm sorry, pause. But you know what I'm saying? I say, because see, these are the things
we do not
romanticize one thing, but you don't understand the totality of the culture. And while I love them, there are a lot of things that I find horrific about.
Oh man,
horrible.
I can't understand how a trash can be right there, and you throw trash there. I'm like, what?
And the trash can empty.
Yeah.
So it got plenty of room.
Man, it's just. I'm with you.
The way they treat animals. Okay.
Crazy.
It's crazy. The noise.
The honking the horn all the time, or just
I'm like,
somebody announces, and they honk. Look, I'm with you, man. That's why. No, the reason I say it is because I was just there. We were just there over Thanksgiving, and I'm like the third person in a line for the light. The light changed, and then you know how like a fraction of a second somebody back there beeping. I'm like, bro, they can't even react fast enough to go nowhere. Where you beeping to go?
Yep.
They can't move that fast, and it's just that whole.
It's the thought process,
Yeah,
and I get it, and I'm like, and I just tell people like, no, that's the way they do it. Respect it. I don't have no problem with it, but I'm just like. That's just them.
But here's what I don't like, though. Here's what I don't like. And this goes back to birthright citizenship. I don't like that. I understand you can identify as whatever you want. But at some point, when you're going to let that go? Meaning, if you born in the United States, I don't care if your parents are Dominican. You're an American now.
Right.
Wait a minute. Are you questioning loyalty? Didn't I say something about loyalty?
When I say who are you, meaning you have to say this is your culture now. Even if you come from another country, at some point, I ain't saying assimilate, but you have to accept the laws here. You have to be a citizen of here.
Let me tell you what makes it worse. You have Dominican Americans, you got Mexican Americans, you got Salvadorian Americans who ain't never lived a day in their life in those fucking countries. Half of them don't speak fucking Spanish, and they be flying the flag. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm saying, you ain't never been to Mexico.
Never been there a day in your life.
You ain't never been to Mexico and don't speak fucking Spanish, and you repping that. Yeah, they'll have it in their car, the stickers. They'll have the flag on their fucking house, everything. And I'm like, let me try that shit there. I would never fly an American flag in the day. I'm like, for what? To be the house to get robbed?
Brother, I want you to go burn one of their flags.
Oh, shit. No, you won't. And that's what I'm saying when I sit there and say, like, this is crazy. We said always, and you know, my WhatsApp groups and judges, like they will never. Matter of fact, up in New York, they had the train going Dominican, you know, on Instagram on the fucking metro. I said, where am I going to see anything in that country flying the fucking American flag other than the embassy?
Exactly.
Other than the embassy, where? You better not be driving around with an American flag in the back of your car. Oh, that motherfucker getting broke into.
So do you think we need some kind of
so I just say, you know, it's just
test, a loyalty test?
I don't think so. I'm just saying that I don't think so at all. I just look at I don't want one. That's what I'm saying. Obviously, a lot of people disagree with me. And the funny thing about it is some of the very immigrants that will come in will spout for, that's like we got Vivek Ramsey and all them. They're anti-immigrant, which is fucking weird. Some of the biggest anti-immigrant people in America are fucking immigrants.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest anti-immigrant people are immigrants.
Because they door closers, meaning I made it and I don't want you to make it.
Yeah, I don't understand that. To me, that's weird, but hey, I get it. Or they'll do the I came in the right way type thing. Like, but so what? You still a fucking immigrant. You still know you still came from the places they came from, and you know what they're experiencing. I'm not saying they did it the right way. I'm not doing any of that. But how do you be an immigrant and be so anti-immigrant? And
how do you be an immigrant from the United States and be so anti-United States?
Right. Which I don't agree with that either, because that's another thing. When we go to foreign countries, I tell people, like, don't be over here shitting on the US. I feel a way about the US, but I won't shit on it in another country. I generally say I'm not a fan of any nation, to include my own. So people ask me all the time, I'm like, I will never call the DR paradise. Because it's not a fucking paradise. It's a piece of dirt like all the other pieces of dirt in the world. It got nice beaches and nice weather, and it's cheap. The end. Nice beaches, nice weather, and it's cheaper. The end. It's not fucking paradise. Paradise is when I leave this motherfucker. It's got nice beaches just like Jamaica, Aruba, all the other countries. Nice.
You saying DR?
Huh?
You saying DR?
Yeah.
Oh, here go the sad part.
It's cheaper.
No, the sad part is it's mostly beaches that are like not public beaches with dimensions.
Yes. I know. But I don't subscribe to the whole paradise thing, or and I tell people, for the most part,
strictly, we see you in the background. We'll bring you up in a second.
Let me go. I wouldn't be retiring there if I could afford to stay in the US. So I always buy the passport bro argument about traveling and going to other countries for an affordability standpoint. I don't agree all the fuck shit they do. But from an affordability standpoint, I can't argue that. It's cheaper in these other places. And that's why I definitely say go. And I think it's good. I think it's good for your spirit and your soul to travel. And you grow. I think you grow as a person, that you should become more global.
You do.
And travel many countries. Don't pick one. Pick one to be a home base, but go to a lot of places.
Correct. All right, Krusty brother. keep us out, man. Subscribe to the channel. Make
Yeah.
sure you get to my channel. I'm gonna be doing some lives also. Just
We
Okay.
got your email, so we'll let you know when we get a hold of
Frank.
He wrote back. He just said he's busy until mid March. So
All right,
we'll try to
cool.
get
Well, I
him on.
appreciate the
And
conversation.
we might do a
Thank you for
long
letting
with
me
him
up.
because I have a lot of questions. So this gives you time between now and then to formulate some strategic questions for him. If we can.
Definitely. All right. Thank you.
All right,
You guys
brother.
enjoy your night.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. Appreciate you. What's up, Strictly? Are you there?
How long are we gonna go, Ronin? Also, I know I said an hour.
We're at 2 hours and 52 minutes. So you let me know when you're ready. Hey, Strictly, you're breaking up really bad. I don't know if you can sit still or where you're at, but it's real digitized.
Nope. You need to come back and come back out. Go back
You might
out.
want to leave and come back in, and we'll hold up for you real quick. But Fearless might not be here.
And don't keep
I
this.
might close this, but I might close this room and open up a smoke room or after hours.
That's what I was gonna tell you.
I'm gonna close this room and probably open up after hours. I'm gonna set that up in the background while you talk.
Because you a 5 hour, 6 hour kind of man. I don't got Viagra like that.
What?
You like to go all night.
I gotta be popping pills to hang. Well, I gotta pop pills. What you trying to say?
Dude.
But Strictly, let's see if your mic sounds better now. Hello? Strictly. Yo, where are you at? Dubai?
That brother he ain't got a citizenship. That's the problem.
No. Listen. Strictly got money, bro. That brother's
he ain't got no citizenship, so he
ain't got no goddamn internet. It's the problem. I don't know how you this rich and you ain't got no goddamn internet. Where are you at, bro?
He gone. All right, let's
Man,
see.
Hello?
Yeah, thank you. What you do? What you change?
Okay, perfect. Now I don't know. Somehow I was having issue with the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I'm like, man, you got to be in some of the best places I know, and you got some weak ass internet. That's just not like you.
Now what's changing spot? I mean, it seems like in the back there's issue with the Wi-Fi. So yeah, great conversation, guys. I mean, Rico left. Yeah, I was reading the comment about culture, about heritage, and
oh shit, are you gonna be one of those? Are you gonna be one of those? Come on, Strictly, don't do it to us.
Oh no! It was very nice though. I mean, but the birthright did because, like, for instance, my dad was naturalized American in the early '60s, and it was passed on, from generation and generation. So technically, I have third, which is technically originally from my dad's from Haiti, my mom's from the Congo. So I was like, so I have Congolese citizenship, I have Haitian citizenship, I have American citizenship, I have Chilean, and I have Belgium citizenship. So,
talk about an overachiever.
Say again?
I said, talking about an overachiever.
Yeah, because when I live in those places, and I looked at it, and you would say about loyalty, that could be difficult for people that have, like, for instance, in the U.S. Army, you can enroll being a permanent resident and still being a citizen of a different country, and it's so a person like a Dominican or a Haitian, which is Haitian permanent resident, can be in the Army, and then it's not. About it. That person can serve those two places. That could be quite. So I think those things need to be looked at as well. I always thought about it. I was like, well, how can you be a Congolese and permanent resident also be in the U.S. Army? And then turn back around and serve also the Congolese Army. Say again?
There's a loyalty. You have to pledge a loyalty once you're there. So you can't just say,
but how do you control that? I wonder.
I mean, you can't control a U.S. citizen with loyalty. You know, you can say that, but they could.
Yeah. I was thinking about it because I know a Congolese guy who served the U.S. Army. Now is a counselor, is an advisor for the actual Congolese Army. I'm like, okay, ain't that a conflict of interest?
So how you feel about this birthright citizenship? You know, since you're a well seasoned person, you've been
Well,
everywhere.
it's quite. I mean, it's quite complicated because if you think about it, I mean, the birthright. I mean, the United States was built by immigrants. Think about it. I mean, we came from all over the places. Came from Germany. Came from Africa. Came from Italy. Came from. I mean, pretty much, it's a melting pot. So by changing that, we are going to create like it's gonna be first of all, we're gonna have racial profiling. If you don't look Caucasian, you're gonna be a target. If you look mixed, I look at Fearless, then I look at Ronin. I'm like, those that could be Latinos. So let me ask for their paperwork. And how are you gonna feel offended? Because I said, well, you know, my whole life I've been a U.S. citizen, you know. So I think those things are gonna create it could be quite difficult. It's gonna be lots of racial profiling. I mean, it's gonna be so if you don't have that, if you don't have that certain look, that Caucasian, that Anglo-Saxon look, I mean, it could be a problem. That's what I think. I think it's not. It's gonna be a big. I mean, it's gonna be a big issue. Think about it. I mean, if they cannot, because I've seen it in other places when they cannot identify you exactly, they put you in a certain category, which was not in United States. Not as everybody could be an American before. I mean, if you're Chinese, if you're black, I mean, everybody was just it was just a melting pot. You know, now by doing those things, it will create. It's gonna be almost like some type of apartheid. I will think like you see in South Africa, where where a group is favor over another one. I mean, that could be. I think that can bring a lot of issues because if you think about it, let's say in Europe, for instance, you have lots of African who are French. You have lots of African who are Belgium. You have lots of African who are Italian, but they don't label them Afro-Italian. They don't label them Afro-Belgium. They don't label them Afro-French. I mean, so they just Belgium. They have a clean identity. And the other thing as well, like for instance, if you're born in France, you're not French, or one of your parents has to be French, or you have to wait until you reach 18 and you have to live there for a certain amount of years. Those are the things that could be adapted. But France was always there. So is Germany, so is Italy, But the US was built by immigrants, so by changing the demographic, is going to be by changing that. I mean, the birthright law is going to change. I mean, it's going to affect lots of things. I mean, the person itself, mother came from about it, So I was like, I said, well, so where does he place? I mean, where do we place his own family? So so if you look at it, it's a way of. If you heard it, it was also asking at multiple instances. I mean, why we don't bring migrants from Denmark, from Swedish, So that's pretty much what the long-term goal would be, and I think it's going to be detrimental for those who don't fit a certain profile. I mean, that specific profile, like the Anglo. So that's what I think. That's why I say it. Because I've seen it in different places, and I mean, for years. I mean, think about it. Since how long has it been since we? I mean, so everybody who was born in the United States was considered American. I mean, think about it. It's been for years, and all of a sudden we're gonna change those things. I mean, it's gonna be detrimental. I mean, it's gonna be. I don't think it's a good.
Do you think it's fair though for somebody to just come over here who has no, I would say no loyalty, to have a child and they get to reap the benefits of a citizen,
But when they brought the slaves, what was the difference? I mean, think about it. Now now we have think about it. They brought the slaves. The Italian came. I mean, the U.S. was built on that. Think about it. So I don't think now all of a sudden, it's like forgetting our history. Like we never came from that. So at one time, we were brought there. I mean, not me personally, but I'm talking about that as in general. brought there as a slave of the boat, and then then we became citizen. All of a sudden, I think the U.S. has always been enough opportunity, and that's what makes the United States so special. Okay, let's take a look at. Let's give an example. Elon Musk is a naturalized U.S. citizen, so originally from South Africa, and and then we have. Let's go with Steve Jobs, which dad was originally from Syria, who migrated to the United States. I met Steve Jobs' mom, and then so. Jeff Bezos, his stepfather is Cuban. I think that's what makes the United States so special. So by doing that, it's like it's changing the whole thing. I mean, we become what? The UK? But the UK, yes, you understand it was always there. So it's like, I think I think it just, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's, I don't think it should stay like this because he has worked for years and it's a land of opportunity. I don't think because, like, for instance, I mean, my daughter, she was born in the United States. She's American. She served she's in the Navy, and I looked at it. Well, it's beautiful. I mean, then I have cousins, I have nephews. So if it wasn't for that, they wouldn't have had that opportunity. So to me, I'm always gonna be against it because I'm an immigrant myself. So to me, I will always defend that stand where that they should let people in and have because it was my dad's case.
Are you an immigrant based on your great grandfather, or did you say your grandfather that was a American citizen?
No. My dad in the early '60s exiled from Haiti to the United States from a dictatorship, and he became a U.S. citizen. And then after that, he was working for the United Nations. And he moved to the Congo in the early '60s, late '60s. Then he met my mother, and that's how I was born in the Congo. Then when it was time to go to college,
did he apply for your citizenship while he was abroad?
Yes, he did.
Okay, so
and
why don't you
say again?
Why don't you think you're an American citizen versus being an immigrant?
No. What I mean by that, at one time I was an immigrant. My dad was an immigrant, and if I became a U.S. citizen, because my dad had an opportunity, to become So I'm the result. I'm the product of immigrant, that were running away from Haiti to doing the dictatorship, and then became a U.S. citizen, and we're given that opportunity. So I think that's what makes the United States so special. I think that it should go on. I mean, personally, that's what I think. I mean, because now it's pretty much we have, let's say, because my uncle, for instance, has his daughter, who has daughter. We have I think 4 generation American. So initially, so I think by doing that, by eliminating the birthright, I mean, it makes things more difficult. I think. I mean, it will change the whole. I don't know. I think the U.S. won't be the same place of opportunity like it was. That's what makes a special thing about it. Look at China, for instance.
Think it's a good opportunity. You said a land of opportunity.
Yes, it is.
But shouldn't it be more of an opportunity for the people who live here?
It's going to be less opportunity. I mean, listen, I believe that.
Shouldn't it be more of an opportunity for the people who live here, and less for the people who are migrating here? Meaning, if it's just like if you lived in your neighborhood all your life and you had a house, and then all of a sudden somebody came in and was like, well, they just moved in, and then they changing all the rules. He's like, we've been living here.
But I mean, if you think about it, we live in a globalized world where it's kind of hard to shift. I mean, migration has occurred over the years. It's always been, and it's not everybody who arrive in the United States will actually succeed. And I know lots of people, for instance, who never left the Congo, who never left Nigeria, and who are doing extremely well. So I think I think they should. I mean, personally, I think it should continue.
Can I go to the Congo? Can I go? I can't go to Africa, some countries in Africa, and buy land.
Mm-hmm.
I can lease it, but I can't own it.
You can. No, it depends which. Where in Africa, because they don't have a uniform law where it depends. But some places you can buy. I believe Kenya, for instance, you can buy land. The Congo.
But no, I think in Kenya you can only lease it. And like a
You
99
can only
year
list
lease.
in Kenya? Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. So,
So
well,
is
but
that fair? I mean, it seems that you can come here, not you,
yeah, but
not specific to you, but people can come here, take advantage of
the
the
system.
laws, the housing, the system. Uh, and I
Yeah.
can't do that in other countries. I can't go there and get on a welfare system. You know, I can't. I look in DR. If you have a kid and you can't pay, or you're gonna go to jail. You go to the hospital and you can't pay. You don't get released from that hospital without paying. Here, you can do all of that.
That is a fact. Yeah.
So you think that's fair
What?
that happens?
Well, okay. Okay. Let's look at something. First of all, we have to look at there's multiple factors that comes in place when you looked at it. I mean, the majority of, if you go to the Congo, for instance, the majority of mining company are owned by the US, the UK, are owned by the West. They're the one who control natural resources. And they make the rules. They find ways of circumventing issue by creating offshore company, who buy land. And so it's more complex, the
No, wait,
issue.
hold on.
And
Hold on. Let me take back what you said. Repeat exactly what you said. Exactly. The Western companies
I
what?
said the Western companies control all the mining industry in the Congo, for instance.
Is
They
that
owned
is
by the
that the
UK,
is that the Western country's fault, or is that the Congo's fault?
well, here's the thing. I mean, if you look at the geopolitical system in the Congo, those guys that are in power are put by the West. Unfortunately, those are just puppets. The West control Africa, believe it or not. It's controlled by the West. I mean, the whole
No,
Africa
I'm
is controlled.
saying that, but if I have all the gold and you telling me I can sell my gold, I'm the fool, not the people who tell me this how much I can sell it for or
Hold
who I
on.
can sell it to.
I mean, unfortunately, the U.S. is a superpower. Look at the case of Venezuela. He was trying to put a stand on against the United States. I mean, what they will do, they will put sanction on you. They will start. I mean, think about it. The U.S. dollars run the whole planet so far. I mean, like for instance, any banks in the Congo who want to trade have to use the U.S. dollars, and he has to go through U.S. banks. And the first they will do, if you don't agree on the terms, the U.S. system is so strong that they will just start putting sanctions. They will freeze your account, and guess what? What are you gonna have to do? Comply. The system is already there. There's no way Africa can actually, even when they wanted to, they can actually go against the West because it's a
Well, they
coalition.
could.
They're all together.
They just said we
Say it
don't
again?
play. They could by saying we just don't want to play the game anymore.
Well, and then guess what? That's why you have that's why the east of the Congo, there is an ongoing war for the past 30 years. And what they will do, they will start financing. Think about it. The U.S. is one of the world largest producer of artillery. They will start financing rebels, and then there's always gonna be some insurrection. There's always gonna be some issues, some ongoing fight. That's the actual situation in Africa. Everybody was against the West. I mean, they are suffering the consequences. Unfortunately, it's a system where
No,
it's hard to
I
go
want to give
against.
you a scenario. The scenario will be this: you a farmer, and you grow cows, you grow everything,
Sure.
and you have to sell it. And I say, you know what? I just don't want to sell it anymore. I mean, I can be self-sufficient. You depend on my goods. I don't depend on your goods. Your money is just it doesn't sustain me. I can really sustain myself.
Yeah, but the banks are owned. The majority of those banks are either owned by the West indirectly, or they have shares. Like for instance, let me give an example. You have what is called the CFA franc. The CFA franc, it's used by there's two Congo, used by the Congo, used by Gabon, is used by Cameroon. And do you know 50% of the reserve are actually in French banks? So technically, the reason the money is stable is because it's actually pegged to the dollar. To the euro, because the euro control that region. So that's the thing. So the system was put during the colonial time, and they haven't changed anything. So, And when then you have a person like Gaddafi who tried to change this whole thing by creating a currency for Africa. We know what happened to Gaddafi. He's gone.
Yeah, killed. But
I mean,
what I'm saying is,
Libya. So
you have a choice.
So when you think about it, if sure. No, you have a choice. I mean, you want peace or you want war. I mean, that's pretty much there's no common ground. I mean, it's gonna take time to reach the level where we actually self-sufficient because unfortunately, I mean,
Who's we?
Issue with Africa. Huh?
You're talking about Africa
I'm talking
as a whole continent or the individual countries?
No, I'm talking about we as African. And I'm gonna give an example.
You won't
the problem
be.
with African,
You won't
we
be.
aren't. We're not even united, for instance.
Yeah, you won't be. Yeah,
Yeah.
you won't be. We're just like we won't never be self-sufficient. When I say we, Black Americans.
Yeah,
We
because
won't.
I mean the issue. I mean, what I'm trying to tell you is like the issue with Africa, for instance. I need a visa to go to to another African country, while the West can go to that same country without a visa. Think about it. It doesn't make any sense. The African is one of the weakest African passport because imagine if there are 56 countries in Africa, and you have African passport, you can only go to 40 countries, but there are 56 countries. Think about it. So technically, I mean, any African passport should have a minimum of 56 countries they can go to without they can travel freely. No, we can't even do that. So we're not united, first of all. And we have a tribal problem where each tribes
Hold
doesn't
on,
get along with the other tribe.
We'll bring you up in a minute.
Say again?
No, obstacles to opportunity popped in the back. I just told them, hold on, we bring people up one at a time in here. But if you notice in the chat,
Yeah.
I'm going to have an after hours open panel to continue the conversation over there. That way we can end the room here in about 35 minutes.
Oh,
I have a
you
schedule for
can do it a
11.
little sooner. I'm about to
I
head out.
can go live.
Yeah.
Yeah, he about to head out.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
fearless. I was telling you, it's very difficult. I mean, as an African, sometimes it's very deplorable to see that there's no unity. I mean, among ourselves. And then when you take a group of people who have internal issues, I mean, it stemmed from a long time, and you bring them out of state as slaves. You bring them in Haiti, even those places. They never got along from the beginning, and you're gonna realize that it continue. How many company that's fully Black owned that is successful? Let's say Fear is gonna have instead of being with Fearless, what I will do, I will try to put Fearless down. There's no unity as a whole, and I've seen it. And I've seen not only in Africa, I've seen the United States, I've seen everywhere. I'm like, that's the problem. I mean, we came from different part. We came, let's say, I'm from Congo, then the United States Somalis speak a different language, different custom, different tribe. You put them in one place, and that's why they never got along. I mean, we had a genocide in Rwanda, where it was they were fighting each other. I mean, they were Blacks. I mean, so when you see those things, it's an ongoing thing. Even the Congo, you still see until this day. They're very troubled, and that's what kills Africa.
Yeah,
that kills it, literally. And then, so it's be an ongoing problem. I mean, that's why, a revolutionary. Now we have Ibrahim Traoré. We try to play that thing. So hopefully we're going to see how long this game's going to last. But so I can tell you, it won't last long. It's going to end up aligning either with Russia or China. And then we know how it goes, I'm going to give you a short example of it. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
If you could join me in the other room, I'm gonna launch that here in a minute. I want to get
I'll join you there. No problem. Okay.
020. It's already in my live as a schedule. I'm just going to start it at the minute we end this. But by 11 o'clock it'll be live at Central Standard Time. But let me hear from
you. You're gonna be live about 10:30.
Well, I don't know what time it is there. I put 11. I'm just going to go live. Period. Right after this.
Perfect.
You'll see.
No problem. We'll do that.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Cool. Okay. We continue.
What's up, Coach Will?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm on for about
my
3
bad.
more
My
minutes.
bad.
Fearless is gotta go. No, Fearless is going to go. I'm going to open up another live. It's already scheduled in my chat or in my live.
I've already won this debate. Ain't no need for me to continue.
Yeah. That's funny. Okay, then he can go, and then I don't want to hold him up,
Right.
Life is short.
Join me
Go
in the
enjoy
other room,
yourself.
brother. I wouldn't mind having you co-host.
Yes,
but,
sir.
join me in the other room. I'm gonna turn that on real quick. Like, matter of fact, I can probably
Okay,
plug
bet.
this on
You can
while
probably
And
I'm
do it
Fearless,
simultaneously.
congratulations on the dub. Congratulations on the
What?
dub.
Hold up now. What you
That's
mean
what he
you won?
said. I'm just
Brother. Where's our
all right. I
Lord?
see you on the joints, brother. I'm just
Yeah.
messing.
All right. Bless. All right, brother. Go ahead and give us your closing. I'll
My
give you a
closing statement
victory,
is
brother.
this, man. This is what I say. It's a great idea, a great thing you should do. You know, you shouldn't have people come over here. But like I said, it's an idea. Trying to put it into law and have that implemented, there's too many loopholes, too many questions, too many things of what you have to prove who you are. And we have found through the United States, trying to prove who you are, it has always gone down a long road and has gotten us into any type of trouble. It didn't matter. You tried to prove you were free. They had a movie called 7 Years a Slave, not because he was a slave, because that brother was free. And that's what's going to happen. So when you get to a part where you
So
have
you
to
think
always,
there's gonna be some
oh yeah,
antebellum going on?
yeah, when you have to prove who you are, when you put the burden of proof on the citizen, makes it very difficult to do so. And I think it allows it's a Pandora's box that's going to allow the United States, or not United States government, cities, whomever, to really start profiling individuals and say, you know, it's like Germany. Do you have your papers? And you got to
Right.
carry around your papers and say who you are. You know, I think that, yeah, some rules should be tightened, but I think if you want to really start this, what you do is you start with two things, one or three. If you're going to have immigration, you want to open it up, then you have to get more immigration lawyers. You have to get more immigration judges. You have to get people from immigration to speed up the process so that somebody isn't taking 10, 15 years to get their process going. Also, if you want to have people to come and work, have work visas. Keep them here. If they don't, then you can arrest them, you can jail them or something like that, but it gives them a path to come over, work, and then leave. Also, the third thing is you got to go after the employers. You know, we want to go after the low hanging fruit, which is the employees, and arrest them. You go after the employers. You don't let people overstay their visa. You do that, you will clean it up, and you won't have this thing like, oh man, the reason we are so concerned about birthright citizenship is because we are so afraid of illegals coming over and illegal staying. But if you clean up those three things, you'll clean up a lot of what happens, and you might not even be talking about birthright citizenship, because that'll be such a minor part of it. The reason people are having kids is, shoot, if you come over illegally or you overstay your visa and you've been here 10 years, shit, you're gonna have sex with somebody. You're gonna be popping a kid out. And that's how you get that birthright.
Exactly.
But go ahead, brother.
No. This is a great conversation. Like I said, it's going to be some more information coming out soon because it is in the Supreme Court. And Trump is obviously got the leg up in the Supreme Court if you want to count Republicans, whether they are going to shine to the Republican side or they're going to shine to actual justice. We'll see.
Man,
but yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see what happens and what develops after the fact. You know, but like I said, I got an after hours room. I'm about to hit the button to start that in about a minute countdown. And you guys can go ahead and jump over there. The room is ready. It's lit. And so we can go ahead, and it's going to be a full open panel. So you guys can jump on the panel and have a discussion. I know a lot of you guys had a lot to say in the chat. Yeah. Well, if you guys can, you can come up and voice your opinion loud and proud and your position. So
we're gonna try to get some guests on. You know, we reached out to some of those people. It's going to be some time, so stay with us. We want to have some of these deep discussions.
I'd like to get the guy that we looked at that did the constitutional thing. The guy with the gray beard, the gray hair that he had picked up. I'd like to see if we can get him scheduled. He looks like the kind of guy that would come on a panel.
Yeah, I'll look at it.
Have an open discussion.
Yeah,
but I think that would be a good topic. Basically, on this revisited as we get through the Supreme Court. Having somebody like him on, but I do think he leans to one side. He's one of those empathetic guys. I don't know. Yeah, I'm cut and dry, man. I mean, I've just been in the military too long. I understand when you start allowing that gray area to grow. Interpretation and perception are two things that start colliding with each other.
Yeah, boy.
You know, But with that, we're going to go ahead and end this live. I'm going to get rid. I'm going to actually flip the tab and I'm going to hit the button and it's going to start in 1 minute.
Remember this,
go back
fellas.
to the live. Go ahead.
Stay sharp, stay strong, stay fearless. Because you either be fearless or you're going to be forgotten. And with that, I'm out.
Peace.